So there I was, a billionaire, a legend, a man who could buy a small country. And then I woke up drooling on a stack of textbooks in a high school classroom. In 2007, wearing jeans with a patch on the crotch. Let me back up. My name is Huan. In my previous life, I clawed my way up from dirt poor nobody to a guy worth tens of billions. Pretty impressive, right? Well, apparently the universe thought it'd be hilarious to hit the rewind button and dump me back into my 17-year-old body, broke, sleep-deprived, and snoring loud enough to wake the dead in the middle of my homeroom teacher's class. My buddy Chow Xin was sitting next to me, looking like he wanted to pretend we'd never met. Fair enough. I was snoring like a chainsaw. Teacher Guo was staring at me like I was a cockroach that learned to talk. She threw a piece of chalk at my head, bullseye, by the way, the woman had aim, and started roasting me in front of everyone. Your family is broke. Your mom works herself to death. You can't even pay tuition. And you're out here pulling all-nighters at the internet cafe. Now here's the thing. She wasn't wrong. But what she didn't know was that I hadn't seen my mom in 18 years. In my old life, she died in a car accident this same year. So when she started talking about my mom, I just broke down crying. Right there, in front of 30 kids. The billionaire CEO, sobbing like a baby over a scolding. Everyone was confused. Teacher Guo looked like she accidentally stepped on a kitten. She probably thought she'd bullied me into jumping off a building. I pulled myself together and asked her to call my mom to school. Not because I was in trouble. I just desperately wanted to see her face again. But I played it cool and said I needed to cancel my dorm and become a day student because we couldn't afford it. Smooth save. Then something wild happened. I actually started paying attention in class. Teacher Guo tested me with a calculus problem, probably expecting me to embarrass myself, and I walked up to the board and solved it like it was kindergarten math. Billionaire brain in a teenager's body. Unfair advantage, I know. I even caught a glimpse of Lilan in the front row. She's the girl who absolutely destroyed my heart back in the day. Gave me the kind of rejection that leaves a permanent scar. But honestly, that humiliation is part of what lit the fire that made me filthy rich. So looking at her now, I felt nothing, just a stranger. The teenage butterflies were gone, replaced by the calm of a man who's already won the game. I stood for the rest of class because I knew if I sat down, my old body would betray me and I'd pass out again. Teacher Guo looked at me like I was a science experiment she couldn't figure out. The bell rang. I was about to finally get some sleep when Teacher Guo called out, Huan, come with me. Of course. Can't even nap in peace. Being reborn is exhausting. So Teacher Guo dragged me out to the hallway and called my mom. The second mom picked up, I could hear the noise of the street market where she worked. And the first thing out of her mouth? An apology about the tuition being late. This woman was already apologizing before anyone even said anything. That's my mom. Always worried, always hustling. Guo explained I wanted to stop boarding at school, and then I practically begged to say a few words on the phone. She handed it over, and the moment I heard Mom's voice, "What's wrong, Huan?" I completely lost it. Again, billionaire, crying, in a hallway, twice in 1 hour. I turned around so Teacher Guo wouldn't see my face melting off. 18 years. 18 years since I'd heard that voice. I couldn't even finish a sentence. Just, Mom, I'm sorry, and then ugly sobbing. Real dignified stuff. Meanwhile, inside the classroom, the gossip machine was already running at full speed. Some girl named Huan was tugging on Lilan's sleeve going, "Your mom totally made Huan cry." And Lilan, my former crush, the girl who shattered my heart in the original timeline, just said, "He deserves it. No ambition, cold as ice." Classic Lilan. Oh, and fun twist. Teacher Guo is Lilan's actual mother. Yeah, my heartbreaker's mom was also my homeroom teacher. The universe really went all in on making my life a sitcom. After I calmed down, I told Mom to drive carefully and not run any red lights. She thought I was being a cute mama's boy. She had no idea I was a time-traveling billionaire desperately trying to prevent her death. Then I reached into my jeans pocket and felt something bulky. I pulled it out, and my brain short-circuited. It was my wallet from my previous life. Inside, about 2,000 yuan in cash, and here's where it gets insane, a bank card. My bank card. The one that had at least 100 million yuan on it before I got zapped back in time. The question was, did the money travel with me? Because if it did, we just went from, can't pay tuition, to, could buy the entire school and turn it into a water park. I couldn't check yet, So I pocketed my potentially magical debit card and went to find my little sister, Hichien. She was in the first-year building, and when she spotted me at the door of her classroom, she literally turned her head and pretended I didn't exist. Heartwarming family reunion. I called her name, and she came out looking like I'd personally offended her by being alive. What do you want? I don't have money. That was her greeting. Truly touching. Her desk mate peeked over and whispered, "Who's that?" "He's kinda cute." My sister's response. "Cute? He's hideous. Sister of the year, everybody." I told her mom was coming to school, and we'd all go out for dinner. She got excited for exactly half a second before reality hit her. Mom would rather die than spend money at a restaurant. Fair point. Our mom squeezed every coin so hard the metal screamed. "Don't worry," I said. "Dinner's on me." She looked at me like I'd just claimed to be the emperor of China. You? You spend all your money at internet cafes. Where would you get dinner money?" I told her I had some living expenses saved up. She finally cracked a smile, probably figuring that if my money was going to be wasted on gaming anyway, it might as well be wasted in her stomach instead. Can't argue with that logic. Back in class, my buddy Chow Xin was losing his mind. He kept whispering, "What happened out there? Why were you crying? Did Gua tell your mom about the internet cafe?" I shut him up by pointing out that Teacher Gua was watching, and the poor guy snapped to attention like a soldier who just spotted a general. But the real thing frying his brain? I was taking notes. Detailed, beautiful, color-coded notes. Chow Xin literally snatched my textbook, stared at the pages, and said, "Who are you? What have you done with Huan?" He looked at me like I'd been body-snatched by an alien. Which, technically, not far off. Then, chalk missile number 2. This time it nailed Chow Xin right on the skull. Teacher Gua barked, "Some students shouldn't drag others down with them." Chow Xin shrank behind his textbook wall looking deeply betrayed. I scribbled him a note. "Those who don't study when young will regret it when old." He read it and nearly threw up. Told me he'd see how long this act lasted. Fair enough, buddy. Fair enough. Then Chow Xin nudged me and pointed toward the window. There she was, my mom, peeking through the glass, stretching her neck, trying to find me in the crowd. She looked old, way older than she should have been. Her face was carved with wrinkles from years of working herself half to death, but her features were still pretty underneath all that exhaustion. I walked out, and the dam broke again. Third time today. I'm going for a record. "Mom, I finally get to see you." She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "What do you mean, finally? We saw each other last week, you weirdo." Right. She didn't know I'd been gone 18 years. I grabbed her hands and told her I was sorry, that I'd be a better son. Her eyes immediately narrowed with suspicion. "You're broke, aren't you? You want money. I mean, come on." Both my mom and my sister, same exact reaction. He's being nice? Must need cash. That's the reputation old me built. Internet cafe junkie, ranked dead last in class, constantly broke. What a legacy. I swallowed my pride and told her I'd get into a good university and give her a better life. She smiled politely the way you smile at a toddler who says they're going to be an astronaut dinosaur. Then we went to Teacher Gua's office to discuss my switch to day school. Gua poured my mom some water, and Mom did that classic thing where she refused it 17 times before accepting. But when Gua handed me a cup, I took it smoothly, bowed slightly, said thank you. Gua noticed the difference. My mom was nervous and self-conscious, but I was acting like a man who'd spent years in boardrooms negotiating billion-dollar deals. Because I had. Oops. Gotta tone that down. Then Gua got interested. "If you're so confident about studying at home, let's make a bet." "What's your pledge?" I said. "Top 20 in class by end of semester." Dead silence. "I'm ranked 63rd out of 63. Last place. The bottom. The basement. And I just promised to jump 43 spots in 4 months." Gua's eyes went wide. "And if you fail, your call. Double homework over winter break. But if you make it, 500 yuan cash from me personally." I agreed without blinking. 500 yuan. That's adorable. In my past life, I made that much every time I blinked. But sure, let's shake on it, Teacher Gua. You have no idea what's coming. The thing was, I'd already done this once before. Last life, I went from hopeless slacker to a 211 university student in 6 months. Doing it again with a full adult brain and decades of life experience? That's not a challenge. That's a speed run. Before leaving the office, I told Mom we were all going out for dinner. Me, her, and Xian. Mom's face twitched like I'd suggested burning money for fun. But with Gua standing right there, She couldn't object, so she just muttered, "Fine, I know." Translation: over my dead body, am I spending money at a restaurant? But I'll argue about it later when there's no audience. Classic mom. First thing I did when class started? I cleared all the textbooks off my desk. See, back in the day, every slacker kid in China built a great wall of books on their desk. Not for studying, obviously, but as a fortress to hide behind while sleeping. I was dismantling my fortress. Going legit. Chow Xian watched me like I was performing an exorcism on myself. Are you quitting school? What are you doing? I'm cleaning my desk so I can actually see the blackboard. You walnut. His brain couldn't process it. Then came the real panic. Wait. If you're a day student now, who's going to go to the internet cafe with me at night? I decided to hit him with some wisdom. Imagine this, I said. Years from now, one of your classmates becomes a mega-rich boss. You go crawling to him for a job, but you have zero skills, so all he can give you is head of security. I was literally describing what happened in my past life. To him. With him. He didn't get it. Who's going to be a big boss? Jun. That's our class president, the rich kid everyone hated. I'd rather starve than work for that fake. I just shook my head. Buddy, I wasn't talking about Jun. I was talking about me. But sure, you'll figure it out in about 15 years. The whole class noticed my transformation and collectively decided I was faking it. He'll be back to his old self in a week, they figured. But Teacher Gua kept checking on me through the window between classes, and every single time she looked, there I was, writing notes like a man possessed. I could practically see the happy tears forming in her eyes. After class, I helped Mom pack up my dorm stuff. My entire life possessions fit into one sad pile. Some bedding, a few worn-out clothes, and toiletries. Real minimalist lifestyle, not by choice. Mom immediately tried to weasel out of dinner. You have evening study hall. There's no time to eat out. Just go to the cafeteria. I'll carry your stuff home. Translation: restaurants cost money and money is sacred. I pushed back. She tried again. I'm not even hungry. You two go. I'll just eat whatever's at home. My nose stung when she said that. Whatever's at home probably meant rice with soy sauce. I told her, Mom, money is meant to be spent. We can't keep mistreating ourselves. She laughed. Your money? All your money comes from me. You've got some nerve. Touché, Mom. Touché. But just wait until I check that bank card. Then came the sister retrieval mission. I walked into Qian's classroom and overheard her telling her desk mate Yao Xian about me. Yao Xian was like, your brother's at this school? You never mentioned him. Don't big brothers spoil their little sisters? My darling sister's response. He's not my real brother. I would never want a brother like him. He's a delinquent. I walked in right at that moment. Excuse me? Go ask Mom downstairs if we share DNA or not. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. Then she stormed off ahead of me down the stairs, speed walking like she was trying to escape a crime scene. The crime being related to me. Mom was waiting downstairs. She saw Qian looking angry and asked, fighting with your brother again? Before Qian could spin her version, I jumped in. She said I'm not her real brother. Mom's face turned dark instantly. Qian, say that again and see what happens. Now here's the thing. Qian was the golden child. Straight A student. Teachers loved her. Everyone praised her. She'd never been scolded in public like this. Her lip started trembling, and I could see the tears loading up. I felt bad immediately. All right, Mom, relax, she was joking. Don't make a federal case out of it. Come on, let's go eat. So there we were, a broke single mom, a time-traveling billionaire trapped in a teenager's body, and an angry little sister who'd rather be an only child. One big happy family heading to dinner. Mom tried to steer us toward the greasy little food stalls right outside school. Every kid in China knows these places. Mysterious meat on sticks, questionable sanitation, delicious in a don't ask questions kind of way. But I had standards now. Billionaire standards trapped in broke kid packaging. I led them to a place called Country Bumpkin Restaurant. Classy name, I know. Mom immediately started doing her thing. Why can't we just eat here? Why walk so far? But the moment I said the magic words, it's not expensive, she went quiet. That phrase was basically a cheat code for my mother. We sat down and I ordered a fish, beef, and mushroom egg soup. A feast by our family standards. Mom nearly had a heart attack. 38 yuan for beef? One meat dish is enough? My sister Qian, bless her soul, suddenly became my biggest supporter because she loves beef. Mom, he said he's paying. Whoever pays gets to order. First nice thing she'd said about me all day. All it took was cow meat. Then Qian dropped a bomb. Maybe Huan should just drop out of school. I almost choked on air. I bring you to a restaurant. I order your favorite beef, and your suggestion is that I should quit school. This girl was trying to eliminate me from the family budget entirely. Mom shut that down quick, but honestly, Qian had a point from her perspective. In 2007, a high school diploma was about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. But little did she know, her deadbeat brother was sitting on 100 million yuan. Speaking of which, I needed to check that bank card. So I told Mom I was going out to buy some practice exam books. Her face lit up. Study materials? I'll come with you. Oh no. I needed to go to the bank, not a bookstore. I talked her out of tagging along, speed walked to the ATM next door, jammed in the card, typed my password, and held my breath. The screen loaded. Then the number appeared. 102,762,209.6 yuan. 102 million yuan. Just chilling in there. Casually. Like it was no big deal. I withdrew 3,000. Listened to that beautiful money-counting sound from the machine, and 30 crispy 100 yuan bills slid out. I wanted to kiss every single one of them. Then I bought a copy of 5 Years of College Entrance Exams, 3 Years of Practice Tests, the most feared book in all of Chinese education, and strolled back to the restaurant feeling like a king disguised as a peasant. When I got back, Qian glanced at the exam book and muttered, "Show off." Mom jumped to my defense. "Your brother's changed. His teacher praised him today." Qian looked at me like Mom had just said pigs could fly. Then I casually mentioned we might need a bigger house, and Mom's head nearly exploded. That conversation got shut down before I even finished the sentence. The real entertainment was watching dinner unfold. Qian and I demolished 2 bowls of rice each. Mom, she ate some chili peppers and a fishtail. That's it. She kept pushing the good stuff toward us and then drank the leftover egg soup so it wouldn't go to waste. My heart broke a little. This woman would literally starve herself to feed her kids. When I went to the bathroom, I secretly paid the bill. Mom marched up to the counter afterward and got hit with, "Oh, it's already been paid." She turned to me, eyes narrowing like a detective. "You paid? Where'd you get that kind of money?" "Yep, paid when I went to the bathroom." She stared at me. I stared back, trying to look casual while internally panicking about how to explain having 100 million yuan to a woman who just had a meltdown over 38 yuan beef. One problem at a time. First dinner, then world domination. Walking back to school, I spotted a lottery shop and my genius brain clicked on. That's how I launder my money. I told Mom I wanted to buy a ticket. She looked at me like I'd suggested setting cash on fire. Those are scams, but I was already sprinting across the street. I bought a random ticket. Didn't care about winning. I already had 100 million. This was just planting evidence for later. Back at the dorm, Mom tried to sneak a 100 yuan bill into my pocket like some kind of reverse pickpocket. Sweet. Yes. Necessary. Absolutely not. So I pulled out the 3,000 yuan I'd just withdrawn. Mom's face went through about 17 emotions in 2 seconds. "Where did you get that?" Pro tip: when your Chinese mother uses your full legal name, you are in the danger zone. I hit her with my prepared story. I've been secretly buying lottery tickets. And I won. 20,000. 200,000 yuan. Mom sat down on the bed. Stood up. Sat down again. Clutched her chest. I thought I was going to have to call an ambulance. And this was only the light version. I'd said 200,000 instead of 100 million. If I'd told her the real number, she'd have gone straight to heaven and back. Where's the rest? In the stock market. You trade stocks. Yeah, all those nights at the internet cafe. Secretly trading stocks. Incredible. I'd just rebranded my entire delinquent past as a secret financial education. Every all-nighter at the cafe was now market research. Genius. Mom made me promise 2 things. Stocks can't affect my studies, and I had to report my balance daily. I negotiated the second one down to occasionally, since I supposedly couldn't check without a computer. Then she offered to buy me a computer. 20 minutes ago, this woman was panicking over 38 yuan beef, and now she's ready to invest in hardware for her son's trading career. Money changes people fast. I tried suggesting we rent a bigger apartment. Mom shut that down like a steel trap. The lease isn't up. We can't waste money. Woman finds out she has 200,000 yuan, and her first instinct is still to penny pinch. Respect. I gave her the 3,000 and told her I'd send 5,000 every month for living expenses. She almost cried. My son, giving me money. Then immediately, we need to save for your future wife? Yes, my wife. About that. In my previous life, I married a woman named Tang Yuan. She was 25 when we got married. Problem? She's 7 years old right now. In first grade. So that relationship is on hold for about a decade. Minimum. And approaching it any sooner would land me on a list I absolutely do not want to be on. I put Mom in a taxi because I knew she'd walk 2 hours home to save 10 yuan on cab fare, then hauled my water bucket and thermos back to class looking like a homeless person moving apartments. Nobody helped. Nobody asked. That's what it's like being the class deadweight. You're basically invisible. Furniture with a pulse. Then teacher would drop a bomb. New seating chart. Everyone shuffled up to check, and people kept turning back to stare at me with weird expressions. I walked up, scanned from the back row forward. My name wasn't in the back, wasn't in the middle. It was in the front row, dead center. The golden seat. And my desk mate? Lilan. The Lilan. My former crush. The girl who emotionally annihilated me in my past life. The universe has the comedy writing skills of a sitcom god. Chow Xian slapped my shoulder grinning like an idiot. Congratulations, I offered to swap seats with him. He recoiled in horror. The front row was his worst nightmare. When I sat down, Lilan physically scooted away from me like I was radioactive. Cool. Great. Really feeling the warmth here. I started reviewing physics, and my old roommate Fenggan leaned forward asking why I was switching to day school. I gave an honest answer. I'm broke and I need to stop going to internet cafes. It's senior year. Time to actually try. The whole area burst out laughing. Try for what? A bottom-tier private college. Just coast into a community college. It's cheaper. Everyone was cracking jokes at my expense. Even Lilan glanced up from her book, probably to witness the roasting. I just shrugged. Everything in this world changes. Nothing stays the same forever. There are still 8 months until the exam. Anything is possible. Lilan looked up again. I could almost see the thought bubble. Did that deadbeat just say something profound? Fenggan punched me lightly in the chest and grinned. Well said, bro. I believe you can at least get into a second-tier university. At least. Buddy, you have no idea. Evening study hall. The English teacher, Zhao Yu, walked in with her big wavy hair and thermos cup, standard Chinese teacher starter pack. She spotted me in the front row and did a visible double take. I could practically read her mind. Why is the class dunce sitting in VIP seating? She assigned practice booklet pages 15 through 18. Grammar, phrases, basic stuff. Now here's my secret weapon. In my past life, I ran a massive business empire and spent years negotiating with foreigners. My English was fluent, conversational, borderline show-off level. So these high school exercises, I demolished them in 30 minutes and moved on to physics. Zhao Yu noticed, but figured I'd probably gotten every answer wrong anyway. At least he's trying, she probably thought. Meanwhile, Teacher Guo was literally stalking the hallway windows checking on me like a helicopter parent with binoculars. She peeked, saw me studying, and floated away satisfied. Now here's the funny part. My desk mate Lilan, class beauty, top student, queen of, every boy worships the ground I walk on, was having a crisis. Why? Because I didn't look at her. Not once. The entire study hall. I didn't speak to her, didn't glance her way, didn't exist in her orbit. And apparently that was deeply offensive to her ego. See, she was used to boys falling over themselves just to breathe near her. And here's this former bottom-ranked loser sitting right next to her, completely ignoring her like she was a potted plant. She couldn't handle it. The irony was delicious. In my past life, I would have given anything for this seat. Now, she was just furniture to me. After study hall, I paid my 400 yuan tuition to Teacher Guo, grabbed my water bucket and thermos, and went to find Qian. She'd already left without me. Didn't wait. Didn't even tell me. Just gone. Warm and fuzzy sibling bonding, as always. I walked home to our place in the urban village, a fancy term for the crappy part of town. Took about 15 minutes. The moment I opened the door, our electric fan greeted me with a sound like a dying donkey. That fan was older than me and sounded like it was begging to be put out of its misery. Mom had hot water ready and clean clothes laid out. What a woman. I went to take a shower and discovered our bathroom was a squat toilet with 2 buckets next to it. one for flushing, one for bathing. No shower head, no hot water pipe. Just you, a bucket of cold water, and your dignity slowly leaving your body. In winter, this setup required 3 thermoses of boiling water and a big plastic tub. It was basically medieval. I made a mental note. Buy a proper apartment near school ASAP. Just do it first and tell mom later. The ask forgiveness, not permission approach. After my glamorous bucket bath, mom came over asking about the computer. How much? I told her 3 or 4,000. Just for stock trading, nothing fancy. She nodded like she understood technology. She did not understand technology, but she understood the number, and that's what mattered. I handed her another 5,000 yuan I'd withdrawn on the way home. That's 8,000 in one day. Her face was glowing. My delinquent son is now my personal ATM. What a time to be alive. Then I noticed Qian still wasn't home. It was late. This was 2007. No smartphones, no GPS tracking, and the streets weren't exactly safe. Kidnappings, fights, all kinds of sketchy stuff happened regularly. Mom and I were about to go search for her when the door lock clicked. Qian walked in looking like a thundercloud, silent, refusing eye contact. Where were you? I demanded. None of your business. Mom's mama bear mode activated instantly. Qian crumbled a little and claimed she'd stayed in the classroom to finish homework. But I checked her classroom right after school, empty. She said she was in the bathroom. The excuses didn't add up. In my previous life, after mom's death, Qian went completely off the rails. Boyfriend at 15, tattoos, dropped out before graduating. I knew exactly where that road led, and I was not letting it happen again. Starting tomorrow, you walk to and from school with me. No exceptions. She wanted to argue, but one look at mom's face shut that down. Reluctant nod. Victory, for now. I collapsed into bed at 11:30. The dying fan wheezed its lullaby, and within minutes I was out cold. First day of my second life. Cried 4 times, revealed a fake lottery win, got seated next to my ex-crush, terrified my sister into compliance, and bathed from a bucket. Tomorrow could only go up from here. Probably. 5:20 in the morning. I was already up, brushed, and banging on my sister's door like a drill sergeant. The look on her face when she realized it was me waking her up and not mom? Priceless. Her entire worldview shattered in real time. Mom stumbled out of her room confused because her alarm didn't go off. Yeah, I might have turned it off. The woman works herself to the bone. She deserves an extra hour of sleep. Of course, she immediately panicked about making us breakfast. I told her we'd eat at school. She acted like I'd suggested we dine at a 5-star hotel. Eat out every day? Do you know how much that costs? Some battles you just can't win. Walking to school with Qian was like escorting an angry cat. She power walked ahead of me, refusing to acknowledge my existence. But then we passed a dumpling shop, and I played my trump card. Want some soup dumplings? No, beat. Pause. Reverse. Wait, you're paying? Obviously. Then why would I say no? She ordered before I could blink. I got 2 portions, and we ate while walking. She admitted they were good. First compliment she'd given me since I was reborn. Progress. Then I told her this was just a snack. After morning study hall, I was taking her to the school cafeteria for real breakfast. Then at lunch, we'd eat on the 2nd floor of the cafeteria, the fancy section where meals cost over 10 yuan. Her brain short-circuited. 2nd floor? That's like 15 yuan a meal. Are you paying for all this? Yep. As long as you behave, I'm covering all your school expenses. Did you rob a bank? Fair question given my track record. So I told her about the lottery win. 20,000. I mean 21. 200,000 yuan. What? 200,000. Half the street turned to stare at us. I hissed, keep it down. Ever heard of not flaunting your wealth? She slapped both hands over her mouth, eyes the size of dinner plates. Then, without missing a beat, give me the money. I'll keep it safe for you. This girl. She went from, you're not my real brother, to, hand over all your cash in less than 24 hours. I told her absolutely not. She's a child. Even mom didn't ask for the whole pile. Then I mentioned the stock market earnings, and she dropped her first ever curse word. Holy crap. You're incredible. I've never been so proud and so alarmed at the same time. My baby sister is swearing because of me. Great influence, Huan. She got all doe-eyed and asked for a present. An MP3 player. All her classmates had one, apparently. In 2007, an MP3 player was basically the iPhone of middle schoolers. peak coolness. Little did she know these things would be completely extinct in a few years once smartphones showed up. But sure, I'd buy her one. With conditions. 1. Listen to me and Mom. 2. Study hard and tell me if anything's wrong. 3. Absolutely no boyfriends. No sketchy friends. She turned tomato red. Who has a boyfriend? You have a boyfriend. Solid comeback. I'll give her that. And 4. I said, stop calling me by my name. I'm your brother. Call me G. Okay, Huan. My eye twitched. Huan is what Mom calls me. It's a baby name. A term of endearment from a parent, not a smug little sister. Don't you dare call me that. But you call me Qian, because I'm older. That's how it works. You call me G. Fine. You're worse than Mom. And so we walked toward school in the golden morning light, bickering the entire way, me lecturing, her eye rolling, 2 dumplings bags swinging between us. Passers-by stared at us like we were a comedy act. Honestly, best morning I'd had in 18 years. Leland arrived at school early. Perks of your mom being the teacher, and walked into the classroom to find me already there, reciting ancient Chinese poetry from a textbook. I think she genuinely questioned reality for a moment. Like maybe she was still dreaming, because the guy who was snoring in class yesterday was now here before dawn memorizing literature. She sat down and tried to say hi. I glanced up, looked at her for exactly 1 second, and went back to my book. I could feel the indignation radiating off her body like heat from a stove. In her mind, she was probably screaming, I'm the class beauty. Boys worship me. This bottom-ranked nobody is ignoring me again. Her revenge? She started reading English vocabulary out loud at maximum volume. Like, aggressively loud. Each word was a tiny missile of frustration aimed in my general direction. Very mature, Leland. Very mature. After morning study hall, I went to get Qian for breakfast. She yawned in my face and said she was still full from 6 dumplings. 6. This girl inhaled those things like a vacuum cleaner. I let her nap and went to the cafeteria solo. Porridge, 2 fried dough sticks, and soy milk. My reborn teenage body was a bottomless pit. Then I went back to Qian's classroom with 2 boiled eggs and soy milk. She woke up startled when she heard me putting stuff on her desk. Huan, what are you doing here? I raised an eyebrow. What did you just call me? She froze. Her classmates were all watching. The word, G, brother, was sitting right there on her tongue, but she physically could not push it out in front of an audience. Too embarrassing. She dodged. Why are you in my classroom? I pointed at the eggs and milk. Fuel. Don't starve. Meet me at the cafeteria entrance for lunch. And then, like the sun breaking through clouds, like angels singing a chorus, she said it. Thanks. G. She called me G. Brother. Finally, I nearly shed a tear. 2 days of emotional warfare, bribery via soup dumplings, and the promise of an MP3 player, and I finally got promoted from Huan to G, worth every yuan. I floated back to my classroom on a cloud of brotherly triumph. Meanwhile, her desk mate Yao Xin was practically drooling. Your brother is so cute. Does he have a girlfriend? Introduce me. Qian's protective instincts kicked in immediately. Are you insane? High schoolers don't date. Yao Xin tried to negotiate for one of the boiled eggs. Let me taste what a caring brother feels like. And Qian shoved them into her desk drawer like they were gold bars. Get your own brother. The whole class was cracking up. Morning classes went even better than yesterday. A full night of sleep turned me into a learning machine. Every teacher noticed the difference, especially the physics teacher, who called on me expecting to catch me slipping. I answered every question correctly. His face went through confusion, suspicion, and then something dangerously close to respect. Leland was feeling it too. She told me later. Well, she didn't tell me anything because she still wasn't speaking to me, but I could sense the panic. She was a consistent top 5 student, and suddenly the dead last kid next to her was radiating academic intensity. For the first time in her life, she felt threatened by the class loser. Absurd? Sure, but also completely accurate. At lunch, Chao Xin ambushed me. Bro, internet cafe. Let's go. I told him those days were over. He looked like I'd told him his dog died. You're seriously never playing Dota again? Maybe on holidays. He got all philosophical. I watched you all morning. You really are a different person. Maybe you'll actually pull off a miracle. Then he sighed. I just can't sit still like you. My brain flies away after 5 minutes of reading. I wanted to tell him the truth, that I'd already lived this life once, that I knew exactly where slacking leads and exactly where effort pays off. But all I could do was say, the path is under your own feet, man. I can point the direction, but you've got to walk it. Deep stuff from a guy who was snoring in class 24 hours ago. Lunchtime. I spotted Qian waving at me outside the cafeteria with Yao Xian glued to her side like a barnacle. Qian immediately yelled, Huan, you're so slow. Ah yes. The G era lasted approximately 4 hours. Yao Xian was all smiles. Hi, big brother. I'm Qian's classmate. My parents work, so I have nowhere to go for lunch. Smooth. Very smooth. This girl had the hustle of a seasoned con artist. I took them both to the second floor, the fancy cafeteria level. Qian saw the prices and nearly fainted. Beef, 6 yuan. She tried to order just 2 cheap dishes, clearly doing mental math and hating every number. I overrode her. Add beef. Actually, make that 3 plates of the same thing. Yao Xian's jaw dropped. I wish I had a brother like you. Back in the classroom, my roommate Fenggan spotted my lunch tray and screamed across the room. Bro, did you ROB somebody? Look at that food. Then, without asking, he reached over and swiped 2 pieces of my beef. Just grabbed them. With his chopsticks. From my bowl. Chewed them and said, so good I won't poop for a week so I can keep the flavor. I stared at him. You owe me 2 pieces tomorrow. Do I look like someone who can afford beef? I'll pay you back in pork slices. Take it or leave it. This man had zero shame, and I kind of respected it. He asked where I got the money. I mumbled something about saving internet cafe fees. He didn't buy it for a second, but let it go, probably assuming I'd blown my entire life savings on one fancy meal and would be eating plain steamed buns for the rest of the month. After lunch, I snuck off campus, grabbed a taxi to the electronics district, and walked into a phone store. Picked a Nokia N73 in literally 60 seconds. In 2007, this was a top-tier phone. To me, a man from the smartphone era, they were all ancient bricks. What's there to compare? This rectangle or that rectangle? They all had tiny screens and buttons that went click, click, click. Then I went to the MP3 section for Qian's gift. The store clerk watched me, completely baffled. You chose a phone in 1 minute, but you've been staring at MP3 players for 10? She grinned. It's for your girlfriend, isn't it? My sister. She's 15. Pink or white? 15-year-old girl? Definitely pink. I got the most expensive one, a BBK portable player, about 400 yuan, and asked for a gift box. The clerk wrapped it in a pink bag and said, your sister is lucky to have a brother like you. I laughed. Lucky? She acts like I personally insulted her ancestors every time she sees me. One more bad day and she'll literally point at my nose and curse my entire bloodline. The clerk said something that actually hit me. Siblings who fight the most love the most. She'll understand when she's older. That sent me spiraling into memories. Little Qian used to follow me everywhere as a kid, like a tiny shadow. Then I got addicted to internet cafes and pushed her away. Then mom died and she completely self-destructed. Boyfriends, tattoos, dropped out, stayed out all night. It took years and a mountain of money before she came back to normal. And even then, the damage was done. Her youth was gone, spent on the wrong people in the wrong places. I clenched my fist. Not this time. This time, Qian gets the life she deserves. School, college, maybe grad school, a nice campus romance, a normal happy life. No tattoos. No dropouts. No chaos. The clerk noticed my face had gone dark and looked nervous. Sir? You need to pay, right? Back to reality. I swiped my card. Nokia plus MP3, 3,280 yuan. Got a phone plan set up, walked out of the store with a pink gift bag in one hand and a brand new phone in the other. A billionaire buying a Nokia in 2007. Life is weird. Leaving the phone store, I spotted a real estate agency next door. Perfect timing. My family was living in a shoebox with a dying fan and a bucket shower bathroom. Time for an upgrade. I walked in and the agent, Wang Hui, looked up expecting a customer. What she got was a 17-year-old in faded jeans. Hi, who are you looking for? Nobody. I'm here to buy a house. Her brain buffered for a solid 3 seconds. Buy? Where are your parents? Just me. Solo mission. She clearly thought I was pranking her, but she stayed professional. I rattled off my requirements like a real estate veteran. 3 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, at least 120 square meters, good sunlight, north-south layout, second to fifth floor, within 1 kilometer of school. Her eyes got wider with every specification. Then she asked my budget. Don't worry about budget. If the house is right, money's no issue. And just like that, her excitement died. In her mind, no budget meant no money. A kid playing pretend. So I pulled out the nuclear option. Got a card machine? I'll put down 1,000 yuan deposit right now. The POS machine appeared so fast I think she teleported it. Card swiped. Deposit paid. Skepticism evaporated. She wanted to show me properties immediately, but I had class. I left my new phone number with strict instructions. Do not call during school hours. Phones are banned, and if I get caught, that's a whole disaster. She couldn't help but laugh. Her newest property buyer had a bedtime and a homeroom teacher. Next stop, tea. I'm a tea man. Was in my past life, still am now. My mouth had been feeling empty without it. I tried one shop on the main street. Garbage quality, tourist trap stuff. Walked right out. Then I found a fancier place, Golden Fortune Tea House. Nice decor, promising selection. The owner, Peng Jiangwo, came out looking confused. Probably the first time a teenager had entered his establishment. Looking for tea, young man? Yeah. Got any green tea? He got snooty immediately. We mainly sell pure, rock tea, aged white tea, premium varieties. Green tea is not really our focus. Oh no, he didn't. This man just disrespected green tea in front of me. I've spent tens of thousands on single batches of Longjing. I've gargled with tea that costs more than his entire shop. I went full tea professor on him. All 6 categories of Chinese tea are equal. If you insist on ranking them, Westlake Longjing, Xinyang Maojian, Taiping Hokuei, and Huangshan Maofeng are all in the top 10 famous teas. How exactly are they inferior to your pure? His face went through surprise, then irritation. A high schooler had just schooled the tea shop owner. He pulled out some Longjing, claiming it was premium Preachingming Harvest, 2,000 yuan per gene. Can you even afford a few grams? I grabbed a handful, sniffed it, and tossed it back. This isn't Preachingming. Excuse me? I bought it from the origin myself. The difference between Preachingming and Post-Qingming is the bud-to-leaf ratio. Preachingming tea has buds longer than the leaves. Look at yours. The leaves are longer. This is Post-Qingming at best. I paused. Also, this isn't even from this year. It's old stock. His face went through about 6 colors. He was about to argue when 2 men walked out from the back room. One of them chuckled and said, "Come on now. Everyone knows green tea should be this year's harvest. Surely Boss Peng wouldn't pass off old tea to a young man." The voice hit my ears, and my entire body froze. I turned around slowly. No way. Standing there, sipping tea like he owned the world, was my future father-in-law. Tang, my wife's dad. The man whose daughter I married in my previous life. The daughter who is currently 7 years old and in 1st grade. My brain went into full meltdown mode. What was he doing here? He lived in Jiangxing, a major city hours away. Why was he in my tiny little county, drinking mediocre tea with some random shop owner? I stood there, jaw on the floor, staring at the man who, in another timeline, would one day hand me his daughter at a wedding altar. A daughter who right now was probably losing her first baby teeth. The universe wasn't writing a sitcom anymore. It was writing a soap opera. I glanced at the guy standing next to my future father-in-law and instantly understood the situation. Tang Xingji, that's dear old dad-in-law, made his fortune in real estate before I ever met him. The guy beside him was Han Qi, a local property developer. 2 real estate guys in a tea shop? They were definitely scouting their next project in my little county. Tang Xingji caught me staring and asked, "Do you know me?" "Know you?" "Sir, I married your daughter. I held her hand at our wedding. She was pregnant with your grandchild when I got yeeted head back in time. But sure, let's play strangers. You just look like someone I know." My mistake. Han Qi, trying to seem relevant, grabbed some tea leaves and sniffed them. "Seems fine to me." "How do you know it's old tea?" I gave them the full breakdown. Old tea loses its aroma, develops a stale smell. No amount of proper storage can fake freshness. Han Qi sniffed again and admitted he couldn't tell the difference between tea and lawn clippings. But Tang Xingji? He grabbed a handful, took one whiff, and confirmed it. "It's old stock." Boss Peng, the tea shop owner, started sweating bullets. With 2 rich guys watching, he couldn't keep up the scam. He suddenly discovered the fraud and cursed his supplier. "That Li guy from Hangzhou tricked me. I'll demand a refund." I smiled sweetly. "Well, call him then." "We'll wait." He didn't call anyone. Obviously. Instead, he pivoted to damage control and offered me some Angie white tea as an apology. Now that got my attention. Angie white tea is one of my favorites. And in 2007, before e-commerce exploded, finding the real stuff was genuinely hard. Han Chi, bless his heart, tried to contribute. Wait, you said you only drink green tea. Now you're drinking white tea? Tang Xingji coughed politely. Angie white tea is green tea. Han Chi's face went red. Somewhere, the person who named a green tea, white tea, was cackling in their grave. I inspected the Angie, and it was decent. Then I did something that made Peng's jaw drop. I guessed his wholesale cost to the yuan. This is about 400 to 500 per gene at origin. I won't lowball you. 800 per gene. Give me half a gene. His eyes nearly popped out. I'd nailed his purchase price of 480. He packed up 6 small bags and threw in an extra one as an apology. Nice. Then came the payment problem. No POS machine. I was about to hunt for an ATM when my future father-in-law swooped in like a fairy godmother. I'll cover it. We're both tea lovers. It's nothing. Now, a normal person would politely refuse 3 times before accepting. But this was my father-in-law. In spirit, at least. His money was practically family money already. Deal, I said. And just so you know, I'm not paying you back, he laughed. Just come drink tea with me sometime. I'll be here for a while. I knew exactly what this was. Rich businessmen don't invite random teenagers for tea out of loneliness. Tea sessions are how deals get made, connections get built, networks get expanded. He saw something in me. Maybe my tea knowledge, maybe my confidence, maybe the fact that I'd just embarrassed a shop owner twice my age without flinching. Whatever it was, he wanted to keep me close. And I wanted exactly the same thing. Tang Xingji was my golden ticket into the business world. I trusted his character completely. I'd spent years as his son-in-law, after all, and having him as a bridge to real commerce was priceless. We agreed to meet for lunch tea sessions. After I left, I'm sure Han Chi asked why a big shot like Tang Xingji would bother with some random kid. And knowing my father-in-law, he probably just shrugged and said, I just want a tea buddy. When Han Chi offered himself as a replacement, Tang Xingji probably roasted him. You can't tell white tea from green tea. What would we even talk about? Back at school, I brewed myself a cup at my desk. The aroma spread through the classroom like a fragrance bomb. Feng Gan craned his neck over. Look at you, mister. Fancy, drinking tea like some old man. This stuff is 1,000,000 times better than your Coca-Cola. You uncultured child. Let me try. You won't even like it. I don't care if you were eating literal garbage. I'd still want to taste. Hard to argue with that level of commitment. I gave him some leaves. Then Li Lan, Miss Silence, Miss I don't acknowledge your existence, suddenly spoke up. That tea is at least 1,000 yuan per gene. That pinch in your cup is worth 5 or 6 yuan. Feng Gan nearly dropped his mug. In his world, tea cost like 20 yuan a bag. 1,000 per gene? Does it make you immortal? Huan popped her head over. Li Lan, are you sure? 1,000. Li Lan just shrugged. Believe it or don't. Interesting. How did the class beauty know tea prices that well? Was her family wealthy? I knew her mom was our teacher, but her dad was a total mystery. Filed that away for later investigation. Feng Gan turned back to me. Is it really that expensive? No clue. Found it at home. Nobody drinks it. You want it or not? He grinned his shameless grin. Bro, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. Your blessings, I share. Your problems, also yours. But the tea? Definitely sharing. This man had elevated freeloading to an art form, and honestly, I couldn't even be mad about it. After school, Chin was waiting for me at her classroom door, looking like I'd personally insulted her by not teleporting there instantly. Why are you so slow? The bell rang 30 seconds ago. You couldn't run. Okay. Time to remind this girl who's holding the presents. I lifted the pink gift bag. Want this? Her eyes locked onto the packaging like a heat-seeking missile. Is that an MP3? A BBK? You already bought it. She lunged for it. I raised it above my head. Being tall has exactly one advantage in sibling warfare. Did I say you could have it? You promised this morning. Did I? Can't remember. Huan, what was that? What did you just call me? Her face went red. She knew exactly what she'd done. She grabbed my arm and started the full little sister shakedown routine, hanging off me, swinging back and forth like a human pendulum. Gidge, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'll never be mean again. I'll listen to everything you say forever. Was it fake? Absolutely. Did I eat it up? 100%. I handed over the gift and made a grand declaration. As long as you behave, I'll give you anything. MP3 today, phone tomorrow, computer next week. Eventually, a house, a car, whatever you want. Her eyes sparkled. Before, she'd have laughed in my face. But now she knew about the 30,000 in stocks. In her mind, her deadbeat brother had become a minor financial wizard. She ripped open the packaging immediately. I asked why she couldn't wait until we got home. Are you crazy? If Mom sees this, she'll murder both of us for wasting money. Smart girl. She understood the household economy better than most CEOs. Then, how do I play music on this? You need to download songs first. So, we go to an internet cafe? No, Mom's buying a computer. I'll download them at home. Why are we getting a computer? She squinted at me suspiciously, like I was a recovering addict being handed the keys to the pharmacy. I assured her it was for stock trading, not gaming. She relaxed and launched into her dream house blueprint. A room for Mom, one for me, one for her, a guest room for grandparents, a study for homework, and 2 air conditioners. Wait, 4 rooms, but only 2 ACs. Air conditioners cost money. And electricity is expensive, so I don't get AC, you and Mom get AC rooms. When it's hot, I'll sleep on Mom's floor. My eyes stung. This 15-year-old girl was already planning to sacrifice her own comfort so the family could save on electricity bills. She'd never even had air conditioning, and she was already rationing it in her imagination. When we get that house, I said, we're putting AC in every room, even the living room, and we're running them all at once. She rolled her eyes. That's so wasteful. Just because you have money doesn't mean you burn it. She sounded exactly like Mom. Carbon copy. The penny-pinching gene was dominant in this family. At home, Mom had made winter melon pork rib soup. Chien walked in grinning and immediately threw me under the bus. Mom, Huan says he's going to buy me a Rolls-Royce. Mom didn't even know what a Rolls-Royce was. When Chien explained it cost several million yuan, Mom's head nearly exploded. You're a student. Study. Stop dreaming about nonsense. Then she told me the computer was in the study. Go check my stocks. My stomach dropped. I hadn't transferred any money into a brokerage account yet. If she made me log in right now, the whole lottery story would collapse. Chien dragged me to the study where a brand new computer sat on the desk, still unconnected. I assembled it in 2 minutes, muscle memory from a past life of tech. Then realized the critical problem. Mom, did you get internet installed? Internet? No, then this computer is basically a very expensive paperweight. She had no idea how internet worked. I explained she needed to find someone to set up a connection. She suggested my uncle, her youngest brother. The moment she said, "Uncle," my brain started throbbing. That man was a walking disaster. In my previous life, he caused endless trouble for my company, borrowing money he never returned, making promises he couldn't keep, dragging the family name through mud. A world-class mooch with the work ethic of a sleeping sloth. Mom, can we hire a stranger? Uncle is unreliable. How dare you? He's family. You think an outsider is better than your own uncle? I sighed. If that man was better than an outsider, I'd personally eat my Nokia. After Mom left, Chien whispered, "Can you download songs for me now?" This sweet child didn't even know you needed internet to download music. She'd never touched a computer in her life. No internet, no downloads. Tomorrow, I promise. She deflated like a balloon. Stood there holding her shiny new MP3 player, the coolest gadget she'd ever owned, with 0 songs on it. Like buying a Ferrari with no engine. Tomorrow. Everything would come tomorrow. Internet, music, a brokerage account to maintain my cover story, and hopefully a new house before this family melted in the September heat with nothing but a dying fan and dreams of air conditioning. At dinner, Chien immediately blew our cover. Mom, Huan has 300,000 in stocks. We don't have to be cheap anymore. Mom's head swiveled toward me. I glared at Chien. She gave me the most pathetically innocent look, like a puppy who just ate your shoe and doesn't understand why you're upset. I tried to redirect. Mom, whatever you do, do not tell my uncles about the money. Mom got defensive. They're my siblings. You two are so harsh on them. Chien almost said, they're freeloaders, but caught herself when I shot her a death stare. I tried the diplomatic route. It's not that we dislike them. It's just, when money's involved, be careful. Trust, but verify. Chien, unable to fully contain herself. They still haven't paid back Dad's insurance money from years ago. They're basically, she swallowed the word, shameless, at the last second. Mom sighed. I know. Eat your food. Whether she actually heard us or just wanted us to shut up, unclear. Next day at lunch, Qian and I grabbed seats at the fancy second-floor cafeteria. She casually mentioned needing 50 yuan for class fees. I opened my wallet. 100 yuan left. Gave her the whole thing. The extra 50 is mine to keep. Buy snacks, drinks, whatever. I'm not buying snacks. I'm saving it for a new shirt during national holiday. I looked at her outfit. Her white t-shirt collar was so stretched it hung like a grocery bag. There was a yellow stain on the hem. Her sandals were held together with superglue. Literal superglue. Forget saving 50 yuan. I'll give you 2,000. Buy clothes for yourself, for Mom, and for me. We all look like we survived a natural disaster. Her face went red. She scanned the cafeteria nervously. Mom's right. You get a little money and you lose your mind. 2,000 on clothes. Clothes are nothing. I'm making money hand over fist in the market. Houses, cars, cash. It's all coming. You're so full of it. If you're really rich, buy a house first. That actually matters. We survived being poor this long. New clothes can wait. 15 years old and already prioritizing real estate over fashion. This kid had better financial instincts than half the investors I knew in my past life. Then my new Nokia rang. It was Wang Hui, the real estate agent. She was waiting at the school gate. Qian spotted the phone and her eyes bugged out. You bought a phone? For business purposes. After I hung up, I made a split-second decision. Bring Qian house hunting. She needed to see this. Finish eating. I'm taking you to see something cool. What? You'll see. You're gonna love it. She rolled her eyes. What could he possibly have that's exciting? At the school gate, Wang Hui saw us and smiled. Then she looked at Qian and said, Is this your girlfriend? She's so pretty. She's my biological sister. Same parents. Same DNA. Not my girlfriend. Wang Hui wanted to dissolve into the pavement. Sorry. You two just look so alike. Qian was still clueless. What are we looking at? Houses. What kind of houses? Houses we're buying. Her brain crashed harder than a 2007 computer running Windows Vista. Buying? Did you tell Mom? Of course not. She'd have a stroke. Her eyes filled with tears, not happy ones. Scared ones. You can't make this kind of decision without Mom. I pulled her aside and dropped the real bomb, voice barely above a whisper. I have way more than 300,000. The house money is separate. The stock money is untouched. Her face went white. Actually white. Like she'd seen a ghost. How much do you actually have? A lot. I'll explain later. Not here. I watched her expression cycle through shock, confusion, and then terror. I knew exactly what she was thinking. Her brother, the former internet cafe bum, suddenly had mysterious mountains of cash? There was only one logical explanation in her mind, and it involved handcuffs. Before you call the police, the money is clean. I earned it legally. I am not a bank robber. Really? Do I look like a criminal mastermind to you? She burst out laughing. How are you this amazing? Enough money to buy a house and 300,000 in savings. Your brother is simply built different. Now, are we house shopping or not? Yes. Her whole face lit up like a Christmas tree. I want the prettiest one. Done. Your pick. But you have to keep this from Mom. If she asks, the new place is a rental. Got it? Got it. I turned to Wang Hui, who'd been standing at a respectful distance pretending she couldn't hear two teenagers arguing about secret real estate purchases. All right, Manager Wang. Let's go find ourselves a home. Wang Hui had 5 properties lined up. We started with the closest one, a place in Rainbow Bridge community, literally across the street from school. 4th floor, 110 square meters, 3 bedrooms. The retired teacher who owned it was selling to help their kid buy a place in the big city. It was fine, clean, decent layout, but the decor screamed, elderly person who hasn't redecorated since 1995. No balcony. Kind of cramped. But Qian? Qian walked in like she'd entered the Palace of Versailles. Oh my God, there's an air conditioner in the bedroom, and a hot water heater in the bathroom. Look at these tiles. This wooden floor is so clean. She was losing her mind over basic amenities. Things that most people consider the bare minimum of civilization, hot water, air conditioning, a floor that isn't dirt, were blowing her mind. My heart cracked a little. Wang Hui pounced. The owner is leaving all the furniture and appliances. Qian's eyes went full anime sparkle mode. The big TV? The fridge? The bed? All of it? She turned to me with an expression that screamed, "Swipe the card right now before someone else takes it." I reminded her she'd wanted 4 rooms, one for Grandma and Grandpa. She backpedaled instantly. "I was just talking. If they visit, I'll squeeze in with Mom." This girl was ready to abandon her own dream floor plan for a house with a working refrigerator. We looked at 2 more places. Qian fell in love with every single one. She was the worst house hunting partner imaginable. 0 standards, maximum enthusiasm. Like taking a hungry person to a buffet and asking them to pick one dish. One was 19 yuan. "So cheap," she gasped. Another had more rooms. "So many rooms." I kept saying no. "Too small, too old, not right." Wang Hui gently warned me. "The last 2 are over 140 square meters. Over 30 yuan." Qian nearly fainted. "That's too expensive. Let's just get this one." I dragged her to property number 4 anyway. New community, nice greenery, 2nd floor. We walked in, and empty. Completely empty. No furniture, no appliances, nothing. But the decoration. Oh man. Black, white, and gray minimalist modern style. Huge open spaces. For bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a big balcony, gorgeous natural light. Brand new, never lived in. The kind of place that makes you stand in the doorway and whisper, "Whoa." I loved it immediately. "What do you think, Qian?" She scrunched her face. "Too expensive. 33 yuan, and there's nothing in it. Forget the price. Just, do you like it?" "How can I forget the price?" "Price is the first thing you look at." She sounded exactly like Mom. The penny-pinching gene was so strong in this family, it could be studied by scientists. So I started the sales pitch. "Look at this master bedroom. Massive, with its own bathroom. Mom would love this. And your room? Look at all those built-in closets. Put a desk in that corner for homework. When you go to college, swap it for a vanity table. The small study fits a bed for when grandparents visit. And the balcony? Imagine little flowers and plants." Her eyes glazed over. I could see the fantasy assembling in her head. Her own room with closets. Mom in a master suite with a private bathroom. Flowers on the balcony. A real home. Then reality snapped back. "But it's so expensive. And we'd still need to buy all the furniture." Wang Hui jumped in with the clutch assist. "The original owner spent over 100,000 just on the renovation. You only buy a house once in your life. Might as well get one you truly love." Qian looked at me, wavering. I grinned. "Don't worry about money. Your brother's got it covered. If you like it, we're done. I guess. I can't even decide anymore. They're all so good enough for me." I turned to Wang Hui. "Skip the 5th house. We're taking this one. When can we do the transfer?" Wang Hui was practically vibrating with joy. "I'll contact the owner immediately. But, don't you want to negotiate the price?" Before I could answer, Qian leaped in. 30 yuan. Take it or leave it. If the owner says no, we go back to the other 3. I almost choked. This girl had never bought anything more expensive than soup dumplings. And here she was hardball negotiating a real estate deal. Future CEO material, honestly. I told Wang Hui to try Qian's number, and we'd finalize tomorrow. Qian walked through the apartment 3 more times before I could drag her out, touching walls and staring at the balcony like she was memorizing a dream she was afraid to wake up from. On the walk back, she asked the question again. "How much money do you actually have?" "About 1 million. Give or take." She froze mid-step. "All from stocks?" "Yep." "Then why did you tell Mom it was only 300,000? Because if I told her the truth, she'd need a hospital bed and a heart monitor." I looked at her seriously. "When we move Mom in, you have to say it's a rental." Got it. I'm not stupid." Famous last words from the girl who blurted out the stock market secret at dinner less than 24 hours ago. But hey, I believed her. Mostly. Kind of. We'd see. When we got home, I asked Mom if my uncle had come to set up the internet. "Oh yes, all done." I asked him to stay for dinner, but he rushed off. "Hold on. My freeloader uncle turned down a free meal? That's like a shark swimming past a wounded fish." Something was deeply wrong with this picture. Qian bolted to the study, fired up the computer, and yelled, "Hurry. Check if it works." Mom came rushing in too, but not for the internet. She wanted me to check her precious 30,000. 300,000. I casually dropped the ultimate excuse. "It's Saturday. Stock market's closed. Gotta wait till Monday." She deflated like a sad balloon. "Perfect. That bought me 2 days to actually open a brokerage account and move some money in. Crisis averted. After dinner, Mom made braised Crucian carp, my childhood favorite. Qian inhaled her food at the speed of light. Empty bowl. Chopsticks down. Staring at me with laser eyes. Are you done yet? She wanted those MP3 downloads bad. I shoveled in some vegetables and followed her to the study. She shut the door, yanked open the drawer, and her face crumbled. It's gone. What do you mean gone? My MP3. I put it right here last night. Tears. Immediate, giant, rolling tears. Over an MP3 player. This girl had owned the thing for less than 24 hours, and it was already the most precious object in her universe. I told her I'd buy another one. She sobbed harder. It was 400 yuan. Mom doesn't even make 2,000 a month. Then it hit both of us at the same time. Today, only 2 people entered this room, Mom and dear Uncle Freeloader. Mom wouldn't touch our stuff, which left one suspect. The door swung open. Mom poked her head in. What are you saying about your uncle? Qian almost blurted it all out. I slapped my hand over her mouth mid-sentence like I was defusing a bomb. No evidence, no accusation. Rule number 1 of dealing with sketchy relatives. I played it cool. Mom, did you see a small gift box in this drawer today? I never opened that drawer. Why? Is something missing? A classmate lent Qian an MP3 player. It's gone. Could you call Uncle and ask if he noticed it while setting up the internet? Mom asked how much it was worth. I lied. Just a few dozen yuan. But it belongs to someone else. She called Uncle. First call, no answer. Second call, picked up after an eternity. Classic guilty person phone behavior. He denied everything, naturally. Didn't see it, didn't take it. Qian was fuming. Nobody else went into that room. It was him. I calmed her down. No proof, no case. Let it go. Mom sighed the sigh of a woman who knows exactly what her brother is, but can't bring herself to say it out loud. She offered to pay Qian's classmate back. I used the moment to drive home the point. Mom, you know what your brothers are like. Normal family visits, fine. But never tell them about our money. Ever. I know. Next time I'll hire a stranger. Her voice was hollow. Defeated. She loved her brothers, but 400 yuan worth of stolen MP3 had finally cracked through her denial. Walking to school the next morning, Qian was still raging. A 15-year-old prosecuting her uncle with the fury of a Supreme Court justice. I actually laughed. This is a good thing. Good? He stole 400 yuan worth of electronics. Exactly. 400 yuan to teach Mom a permanent lesson about trusting those two. If he'd waited and borrowed 50,000 later, that's a real loss. Consider this tuition for the school of terrible relatives. She huffed, but couldn't argue the math. Then she went on a full rant about how both uncles had never once helped our family, how they always asked Mom for favors, how we should cut them off completely. I understood her anger, but I had to explain something. Mom is the eldest daughter. She feels responsible for them, the same way she feels responsible for us. Think about it. Most women in her situation would have remarried after Dad died. She chose to struggle alone and raise 2 kids. That's her sense of duty. It's the same duty she feels toward her brothers. Can you really say that's wrong? Qian went quiet. Then, but we're her children. They're adults who should take care of themselves. Blood ties don't work on logic. Mom knows exactly who they are, but cutting them off would hurt her more than them. What we need to do isn't fight her battles. It's get strong enough that nobody dares mess with her. What does strong mean? Status and wealth. Status means people listen to you. Wealth means problems disappear. When you have both, nobody touches your family. She stared at me wide-eyed, like I'd just dropped the meaning of life on her. So you keep making money, and I'll keep studying? Exactly. You get into a top university, and imagine what happens. Every neighbor, every relative, every person who ever looked down on Mom will say, wow, old Lou, your daughter got into a 985 university. How is she so amazing? You think Mom won't walk with her head held high? She grinned. Okay, deal. You handle the money since you're hopeless at studying, and I'll handle the grades. Excuse me? I'm actually an excellent student now. She burst out laughing. Gee, please. I know your academic level. Don't embarrass yourself. Watch me. My grades are going to shoot up like a rocket. Sure, and pigs will fly. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But she'd called me, gee, without being bribed. She was laughing with me instead of at me, and she was dreaming about the future instead of worrying about the present. Everything, the stolen MP3 included, was pushing us in the right direction. 400 yuan for family peace of mind, And a sister who finally respects her brother? Bargain of the century. During the break between study hall periods, I came back from the bathroom to find Qian and Yao Xian standing outside my classroom. Yao Xian was holding a bottle of Coca-Cola like it was a sacred offering. "Hi, big brother. You bought me lunch yesterday, so I got you a Coke." Qian immediately went full territorial chihuahua. "Who are you calling big brother?" "That's my brother. Your brother is my brother." "What's the difference?" "There is a huge difference, you psycho." I shut it down politely but firmly. "Just call me by my name. Or upperclassman. Either works." Yao Xian's face fell. She hadn't expected the Arctic treatment. "You'll at least take the Coke, right? Look, I'm not a clueless teenager anymore. I'm a 40-year-old man's brain in a 17-year-old body. I could read the signs from a mile away, the giggly smiles, the big brother, the excuses to be near me. This girl was developing a crush, and the kindest thing I could do was nip it immediately. I don't like sweet drinks." "Keep it." She stared at her feet. Qian, who had been fighting with Yao Xian 30 seconds ago, suddenly switched to fighting for her. She shoved the bottle into my hands. "Just take it, you jerk. Why do you have to make everything weird? Women. I will never understand how they can be at each other's throats 1 second and united against me the next. It's like some kind of secret alliance that activates the moment a man does anything wrong." I accepted the Coke. "Fine. But no more gifts." Qian linked arms with Yao Xian and marched away, tossing back. "My brother is a pig. Ignore him." I shook my head and turned around, straight into Li Lan's eyes. She'd been watching the whole thing. The second I caught her looking, she whipped her head away like she'd been electrocuted. Fenggan pounced immediately. "Who were those girls? What's going on? Why is someone giving you soda?" I explained it was my sister and her classmate, and that I treated them to lunch. Fenggan exhaled with exaggerated relief. "Oh, thank God. I thought a girl was confessing to you. I was like you? The guy with the personality of a brick? Getting confessions? The world must be ending. Thanks, buddy. Real supportive." Then, for reasons I cannot explain, some demon in my brain made me glance at Li Lan. Our eyes met. She gave me this little snort and a look of pure contempt, like I was dirt on her shoe. And suddenly I was 19 again. College. A rainy night. I'd finally worked up the courage to confess my feelings to her over QQ Messenger. My heart was pounding. I typed out everything I felt. Hit send. Her reply came instantly. One sentence. "Do you really think you're good enough for me?" Not. "I don't feel the same way." Not. "Let's stay friends." She chose the most humiliating rejection possible. A sentence designed to make me feel small, worthless, like I was an insect who dared to look at the sun. Even now, after 18 years and $1 billion fortune, that sentence still stung. But you know what? That sentence also made me. After Mom's death drove me to study like a madman. It was Li Lan's rejection that taught me the most important lesson of my life. A man without money has no dignity. Period. Those 7 words lit a fire under me that burned until I was standing at the top. So sitting there in 2007, staring at the 17-year-old version of the girl who'd one day try to destroy me, I smiled and said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, I could snap my fingers and beautiful women would line up around the block to marry me. The table erupted. Huan rolled her eyes into another dimension. "Who do you think you are? The world's richest man?" "Daniel Wu," Fenggan piled on. "I've seen thick skin before, but never this thick." I just smiled. They thought I was joking. I was stating a fact, and it felt incredible to say it right in front of Li Lan, as a preemptive response to a rejection that hadn't even happened yet. "You think you're good enough for me? Oh, honey, you have no idea what's coming." After study hall, Qian was speed-walking home ahead of me, clearly angry. I caught up and asked what was wrong. "You were so rude to Yao Xian." She went back to class and moped the entire evening. What was I supposed to do? Take the Coke. That's basic manners. And then what? She thinks I like her back? Tomorrow it's a Coke. Next week it's a love letter. Where does it end? Qian stammered. She knew I was right. She was Yao Xian's best friend. She could see the crush forming. But she was caught between loyalty to her friend and knowing her brother had a point. I softened my tone and went into big life lesson mode. Mom always says do the right thing at the right age. High school romance sounds beautiful, but it's just hormones throwing a party. Almost none of them survive. Making promises you can't keep is unfair to the other person. But some high school sweethearts do get married. Sure. And some people win the lottery. Twice. On the same day. The odds are about equal. She was quiet for a moment. Then her eyes narrowed. Wait a minute. This whole speech isn't about Yao Xian at all, is it? You're trying to scare me away from dating. Busted. Completely, totally busted. In my past life, I watched this sweet, studious girl transform into a tattooed dropout with terrible boyfriends after mom died. I was not letting that movie play a second time. But I couldn't exactly say, I've seen your future and it involves regrettable ink and worse men. I tried diplomacy. I'm just looking out for you. People wear masks. You're young, you're trusting, and boys are the worst. I don't mind you dating in college, but I need to approve the guy first. I'll be an adult in college. I don't need your permission. Didn't you promise to listen to me? She stomped her foot. I can't listen to you about everything. That's not freedom. That's a dictatorship. If you push too hard, I'll refuse your living expenses. I backed off. She was 16, peak rebellion age. Push too hard and she'd sprint in the opposite direction just to spite me. The trick was gentle guidance, not an iron fist. Plant the seeds now, water them with trust, and pray they bloom before any sketchy boy showed up. But secretly, I was already building a mental dossier. Any future boyfriend of Qian's would face an interview process more intense than a CIA background check, conducted by a man with 100 million yuan and zero tolerance for nonsense. Good luck, future suitors. You're gonna need it. Oh, one more thing, I said to Qian on the walk home. The owner agreed to drop the price by 10,000. 32 yuan. Why did you agree so fast? If you held out, maybe they'd drop more. Property prices are going up. If we stall, the owner might raise the price. Now, I need you to get mom's household registration book and ID card tonight. Why? Because I'm putting the house in your name. She stopped walking. Full stop. Feet planted. Mouth open. My name? I'm in my senior year. I can't skip class for paperwork. Tomorrow you take a half day off. Come with me to the agency at lunch. I'll pay. Then Wang Hui will walk you through the transfer process. But I don't know how. What if I mess something up? It's 32 yuan. You're 16. In ancient China, you'd already be married with kids. Time to level up your life skills. Besides, when I start a company someday, I'm counting on you to run things. Old Qian would have roasted me for that. New Qian actually considered it seriously. Because what kind of high school kid casually buys real estate? Maybe her brother really was going to build an empire. Why not put it in mom's name? Because mom would literally kill me if she found out I spent 32 yuan on a house. Then YMY name? I grinned. You've been pretty well behaved lately. Consider it a reward. Someday I'll have luxury cars and mansions. But only if. I know. Listen to you. Listen to mom. This world has exactly two people who will never harm you. Me and mom. Remember that. She went quiet. Then a soft, heavy at home. Qian casually asked mom for the household book and ID. Teacher needs it for registration. Mom handed them over without blinking. Easiest heist in history. Then mom asked about Mid-Autumn Festival. She wanted to visit grandma, her own mother, because Uncle Freeloader had mentioned grandma's health was declining. Qian's face immediately soured. She started saying she'd rather visit our paternal grandparents, but I shot her a death glare and she shut up. I agreed we'd all go. Qian pouted like I'd sentenced her to prison. After mom went to bed, she hissed. Why are you making me go? I don't want to see those people. You think I do? But mom is stuck between us and them. Every time you trash her brothers, she's the one who hurts. Just eat dinner, smile, and we leave. Do it for mom. She hung her head. Fine. After she went to shower, I finally had the house to myself. I locked the study door, opened the computer, and got to work on Operation Cover Story. I logged into a stock trading platform, set up an account, and transferred exactly 348,000 yuan into it. Not a round number. Round numbers look fake. Had to make it look like real market gains with real fluctuations. Qian came out of the shower, saw a light under my door, and burst in ready for war. Are you gaming? Look at the screen, woman. Does this look like a game? She peered at the monitor. Red lines, green lines, charts, numbers, financial gibberish everywhere. Oh, so this is stocks. Yes. And look here. I pointed to the balance. 348,000 yuan. Right there on screen. Her eyes went wide. Then she did the one thing I'd been trying to avoid. Mom, come look at this. Mom shuffled out of her room in her pajamas. What's all the yelling about? Qian jabbed her finger at the screen. Look, the money is real. Over 300,000. Mom leaned in, squinting at the number. This is real money. Of course it's real. Can't fake a brokerage account. But you said we couldn't check on weekends. I was wrong. Can't trade on weekends. But you can still see the balance. Smooth safe. She bought it. Then a drop of water landed on my hand. I looked up. Mom was crying. Silent tears rolling down her cheeks, staring at that number like it was a miracle. I grabbed tissues and pressed them into her hands. Mom, I have money now. I'm going to give you a good life. She covered her face and sobbed harder. Not sad crying. The deep, ugly, overwhelmed kind of crying that happens when someone who's suffered for 20 years finally sees a crack of light. Qian started crying too, just from watching Mom. She whispered, "Don't cry, Mom." Mom choked out, "I'm just so happy. I never imagined Huan could be this capable. Making so much money." Qian opened her mouth. I could see the words, "He bought a house," forming on her lips, but she caught herself just in time and pivoted beautifully. "I'll study hard too. I'll make lots of money and take care of you." Mom smiled through her tears. "I don't need money. I just want you two to do well in life, so nobody can bully you. If I know that, I can die in peace." "Don't." My voice came out sharper than I intended. My eyes were burning. "Don't say that word. I'd rather have nothing, no money, no house, no future, than lose you. Don't ever talk about dying. Please. I'm scared, because I've already lived through it once. I've already buried you. I've already spent 18 years wishing I could hear your voice one more time. And now I'm sitting here, 3 feet away from you, and I will move heaven and earth to make sure that car accident never happens." Mom looked at me, surprised by the intensity. She reached over and gently rubbed my head, the way she used to when I was little. "Okay, all 3 of us are going to be just fine." She stood there for a long time before finally leaving the study, looking back twice at the door. Qian wiped her eyes. I wiped mine. The computer screen glowed quietly with its fake stock balance. The house keys were one signature away, and somewhere in this cramped little apartment, with its screaming fan and bucket shower, our family was the richest it had ever been. Not because of the money, because for the first time, we actually believed tomorrow would be better than today. That night, Qian hijacked my computer. She was clicking around the stock trading platform, asking a million questions. How do you buy stocks? What do the red and green lines mean? What happens if I shut it down? Literally, closed the whole page. Hey, I was looking at that. You're 16. Your job is studying. My job is making money. Division of labor. Go to bed, she pouted. So I bribed her. I'll buy you a new MP3 tomorrow. Want to download songs for it right now? Her eyes lit up like I'd offered her a kingdom. Stock market? What stock market? Music was the priority now. I showed her a music website, demonstrated once, and she figured out the rest instantly. Scholar brain learns everything at warp speed. I took a shower and came back to find her still at the computer. But now she was setting up a QQ account. This girl had evolved from, "What's the internet?" to, "I need social media," in approximately 90 minutes. She was stuck on choosing a screen name, sitting there with her chin in her hands like she was solving world hunger. Need help? How about Ghost Girl Qian? Get out. She tried to physically push me out of the study. I surrendered and lay on my bed reading while she typed. Finally, she settled on a name. Plum's Qian, words of clear joy. I stared at it. My throat tightened. It was a poetic phrase, and hidden inside it were 3 names. Mei for Mom, Lu Mei. Qian for herself. Huan for me, He Huan. Our entire family, woven into 7 characters. This kid who acted like I was her worst enemy had secretly built a screen name that held all 3 of us together. We added each other on QQ. I forced her to go to bed, then closed the door and got to work. I opened a second brokerage account and transferred 95 million yuan into it. 2007 was the greatest bull market in Chinese stock history, and I remembered exactly which stocks were about to skyrocket. Why let money collect dust in a bank when it could multiply? Next day at noon, the real estate agency, Wang Hui, and the property owner, Li Si, were already waiting. Li Si looked at me like I was a kid who'd wandered into the wrong building. "You're sure you want to buy my apartment? That's literally why I'm here. 32 yuan. Firm, 32 yuan. Done." He blinked. "You're not going to negotiate? You just said firm." "I respect that. Now can we sign papers?" He was clearly dying to ask where a teenager got 32 yuan, but was too polite to say it out loud. Wang Hui pulled out the contract template and asked for my ID. "Not mine. The house goes in my sister's name." I'm just the wallet. Everyone turned to stare at Qian. She went beet red. I told him not to. He insisted. Wang Hui and Li Si exchanged a look that said the same thing. A 32 yuan house as a gift to your little sister? Where do I sign up for a brother like this? Wang Hui printed the contracts. I scanned mine. Standard stuff, transfer terms, both parties' obligations. Li Si read his copy word by word like it was a legal thriller. Fair enough. 32 yuan is serious money. Then I slid the contract to Qian. She froze. I sign? Whose house is it? She bit her lip, fighting a smile, and carefully wrote her name. You could hear the pen scratching in the silence. Every stroke was deliberate, like she was autographing the most important document of her life. Because she was. Li Si chuckled. You're quite the generous brother. People might think you're buying a love nest for a secret girlfriend. Qian's face went nuclear red. He wouldn't dare. If Mom found out, she'd destroy him. Li Si joked that in a family, whoever controls the money makes the rules, implying I was too rich for Mom to boss around anymore. I shut that down hard. My mother raised 2 kids alone. No husband, no help. She suffered more than anyone should ever have to. I don't care if I become the richest man on earth. She's still my mother, and she can tell me what to do for the rest of her life. I hope she does. I hope she lives to be 100 and nags me every single day. The room went quiet. Li Si realized he'd accidentally stepped on something deep. Wang Hui was blinking fast. Qian kept her head down, pen still moving. Nobody asked where the money came from. Some questions answer themselves, or at least, people are smart enough not to push when the answer clearly involves pain. The only sound was Qian's signature, scratching across the page, making it official. A house. In her name. 32 yuan. And she didn't even know the real number, had 7 more zeros behind it. But she didn't need to know that yet. Right now, all that mattered was the pen in her hand and the fact that for the first time in her life, Qian owned something that nobody could take away. Wang Hui decided to stir the pot. So what happens when your sister gets married? You just gave her a 32 yuan house. Qian's head snapped up so fast I thought she'd give herself whiplash. Gee, when you get married, or I get married, I'm transferring this house back to you. Why would you do that? That's so much paperwork. Because it's your money. Your house. Nah. When you get married, just don't complain that I didn't give you enough dowry money. That's all I ask. Wang Hui and Li Si burst out laughing. Qian turned the color of a fire truck. But then her brain actually processed what I'd said. Mom had no money. So yeah, her brother would be the one preparing her dowry someday. And she realized I was right. Which made it worse. Because I'd just announced her future wedding finances in front of 2 strangers. She grabbed the soft flesh on my side and twisted. I yelped like a stepped-on cat. Say something embarrassing again. I dare you. Wang Hui was dying. Be nice to your brother or he won't give you any dowry. Who wants his junk? I don't need anything from him. Your brother just spent 32 yuan on a house for you. Imagine what the dowry's gonna look like. You sure you don't want it? Qian signed the last page of the contract, face glowing red, mouth firmly shut. She wouldn't admit it out loud, but I caught the tiny, proud smile she was trying to hide. She knew the truth. Brothers who drop 32 yuan on their little sisters without blinking don't exactly grow on trees. At the bank, I transferred the money. Li Si finally relaxed. The deal was real, the cash was real, and the weird teenager actually had funds. Mind blown. I asked Wang Hui to handle the rest of the property transfer with Qian while I went back to class. Before leaving, I told Qian, if anything goes wrong, call me on Wang Hui's phone. You have class. Your safety comes first. Li Si chuckled. Relax, kid. I'm not a scammer. Your sister will have her house. I went back to school, but couldn't focus all afternoon. Every 5 minutes my brain went. Is she okay? Did something go wrong? Should I check? I was like a parent dropping their kid off at school for the first time. Finally, the bell rang. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out and Phone Gone screamed from the back row. I asked that a Nokia N73? Where did you get that? I ignored him, answered the call. Qian's voice was pure sunshine. I'm at the school gate. Everything's done. I have the property deed and the keys. I was out of that classroom before Phone Gone could finish his next sentence. Just whoosh. Gone. He was still yelling about the Nokia at an empty chair. Qian was standing under a tree outside school, grinning so wide I thought her face might split. Wang Hui was beside her, looking satisfied. All done, Huan. Property deed is in your sister's name. Call me if you need anything. She also reminded me about the 1,000 yuan deposit refund, which she'd given to Qian. Qian held out the cash. Here, G. Keep it. Pocket money. Wang Hui shook her head, smiling. Your brother is unbelievably generous with you. You're one lucky girl. And for the first time since I'd been reborn, Qian didn't deny it. She didn't say, whatever, or roll her eyes or call me a delinquent. She just glanced at me, saw me smiling, and looked away with the tiniest grin. Progress. Massive progress. After Wang Hui left, Qian wanted to rip open the document envelope right there on the street. I stopped her. Too many eyes, but she begged to visit the apartment one more time. Those puppy eyes were lethal. I caved in 3 seconds. Inside the empty apartment, she went full interior designer mode. Bookshelf here. Desk there. Bed against this wall. Mom's room gets the biggest closet. Then the anxiety hit. Wait. How much money do you have left? We still need beds, tables, a TV, air conditioners, a washing machine. Relax. Tomorrow we hit the furniture market. Day after, appliance shopping. Everything based on your taste. I'm just the credit card with legs. Her eyes went wide. How much money do you have besides the stocks? A few 100,000 more. Pick the good stuff. No bargain bin garbage. She giggled, then got serious. Wang Hui and Li Si kept saying what a great brother you are. And honestly, I agree. But it feels like a dream. Like, a week ago you were an internet cafe zombie, and now you're buying houses. How? The old me was trash. But that's over. Life only gets better from here. You study, I earn. Together we'll build this family into something nobody looks down on. She gazed at me with genuine admiration, a look I hadn't earned in my entire first life until I was 35. Your speaking skills are amazing. You should be a teacher. Me? Teaching? That's child abuse. Come on, let's go home before Mom sends a search party. She agreed, then realized, wait. She couldn't bring a property deed home. Mom would see it, and the whole operation would be blown. She tucked it carefully inside a built-in closet, checked it 3 times, patted it like it was a sleeping baby, and finally followed me out. Walking home, she kept sneaking glances at me and smiling. Not the sarcastic smirk I'd been getting all week. A real smile. The kind that said, I don't understand how this happened, but I'm really, really glad you're my brother. I smiled back. 32 yuan for a house. But the look on my sister's face? That was worth every single zero in my bank account. Back home, Mom had dinner ready and immediately got suspicious. Why are you two so late? Ran into a classmate. Got chatting. She accepted that. Then her face went dark. Listen, a girl from Yi Family Village, a high school sophomore, jumped off a building today. The room went silent. Last night after study hall, she was walking home alone. Some street thugs attacked her. Next day at noon, she couldn't take it. Jumped. My blood ran cold. This was 2007. No surveillance cameras on every corner, no facial recognition, no instant police response. The streets were crawling with idle young men who had nothing to do and everything to prove. Every year, stories like this popped up, and we were living right in the middle of that chaos. I seized the moment. Mom, we need to move. This village is dangerous. Qian jumped in with perfect timing. I've seen shirtless guys hanging around the intersection at night, Mom. Multiple times. Huan makes money now. Let's find somewhere with actual security, Mom wavered. But our lease isn't up for months. What if the landlord won't refund? Who cares about the deposit? Safety first. Qian was nodding so hard her head might have detached. Mom, he's right. Save money where it makes sense. Spend it where it matters. We don't need to suffer just because we're used to suffering. Mom looked back and forth between us with narrowed eyes. Since when are you two best friends? A week ago you couldn't stand each other. Now you're teaming up against me? Busted. Our united front was suspiciously new. I laid out my case like a lawyer. Point 1, safety. This village is a mess and bad things happen. Point 2, our current apartment is tiny, disgusting, and in winter we'll be fighting rats and cockroaches for bathroom access. Point 3, I'm making hundreds, sometimes thousands per day in the stock market. A nice apartment costs maybe 5,000 a year in rent. I earned that in a week. Mom's eyes widened. The stock market makes that much? It's a bull market, Mom. Haven't you watched the news? That part was actually true. 2007 was the craziest bull run China had ever seen. You could throw money at random stocks blindfolded and still come out rich. She finally caved. Fine. I'll go look for a place in a few days. No need. My classmate's family runs a real estate agency. I'll find the place. You just come approve it. You're a child. You know how many scams there are in renting. Qian, my beautiful, loyal, recently converted sister, fired the kill shot. Mom, he makes more money than most adults. I think he can handle renting an apartment. Mom looked at us like we were aliens who'd replaced her children. All right, but don't pay anything until I've seen it. Qian and I exchanged a secret smile. Phase 1 of Operation Move into the house we already bought. Complete. Over the next few days, we went on a shopping rampage during lunch breaks. Furniture, appliances, everything. Qian took charge like a tiny general commanding an army of delivery drivers and installers. She requested half-days off from school twice. The straight A, a student playing hooky to supervise bed deliveries. Every ounce of her academic discipline was now laser-focused on interior design. By Friday, she was practically vibrating with excitement on the walk home. The hot water heater works. I tested it. Hot water in like 10 seconds. And I cleaned the whole apartment. It's spotless. We can move in tonight. I told you to hire a cleaner. Waste of money. I did it myself, this girl. She treated that apartment like it was her firstborn child. Visited it every day after school. Wiped down surfaces that were already clean. Rearranged furniture that was already arranged. She was nesting. Full-on mama bird nesting. Then she pulled out a piece of paper. A handwritten expense report. Every single purchase. Listed with prices, dates, and item descriptions. Down to delivery fees of 3 yuan. Total spending, 93,000 and change. Here's the breakdown. I stared at it. Who asked you to do accounting? She rolled her eyes with a perfect imitation of Mom. Mom always says you have to track every yuan. Money doesn't grow on trees. Then came the lecture. From my 16-year-old LD sister. About MY spending habits. You spent 50,000 on 4 beds. 50,000. Who needs beds that expensive? The 4,000 yuan ones were perfectly soft. And 5 air conditioners? 3 would have been fine. The living room one alone cost 12,000. Who spends 12,000 on an air conditioner? Mom needs a good mattress. Her back hurts from years of, Mom's bed can be nice. But your bed doesn't need to cost 10,000. And the guest room bed? For grandparents who visit maybe once a year, she'd been stewing on this for days. Every purchase I'd made, she had mentally red-flagged and prepared a prosecution. If you keep wasting money like this, I'm telling Mom. She'll confiscate everything and you'll be back to eating plain rice. I surrendered. Fine. From now on, every purchase goes through you first. Happy, her mouth curled into a satisfied smile. That's more like it. Congratulations to me. I'd gone from being a 100-millionaire to having a teenage financial advisor who yelled at me for buying nice beds. The girl who'd never owned anything more expensive than superglued sandals was now the family CFO, and she ran a tighter ship than any executive I'd worked with in my past life. Mom was right to be confused. A week ago, we could barely be in the same room. Now we were co-conspirators, secret homeowners, and apparently, best friends. All it took was a time-traveling billionaire, a stolen MP3, a bucket shower, and 32 yuan worth of real estate fraud against our own mother. Family bonding at its finest. At dinner, I dropped the bomb casually. Mom, Qian and I found a place. Right next to my school. Brand new, fully furnished, 5,000 a year. 5,000? Isn't that expensive? Qian went into instant sales mode. Everything is new, Mom. Furniture, appliances, all new. You'll love it. Just come look. Mom agreed to check it out after dinner. Then came the tricky part. Explaining why we had keys to a rental without a landlord present. I had my story locked and loaded. The owner went abroad. Left everything to my classmate's parent, who runs a real estate agency. He gave me the keys. Mom shook her head. Rich people are strange. Who leaves their whole house to an agent? They're relatives. And the owner doesn't care about rent money. Just wants someone living there so the place doesn't feel empty. Qian was watching me lie with the calm confidence of a seasoned con man. I could see her mental note forming. Never trust anything this man says ever again. We took Mom to the apartment after dinner. Qian dragged her straight to the master bedroom, like a game show host revealing the grand prize. This is your room. Feel the mattress. Isn't it soft? Mom was reaching for the bed when a cool breeze hit her. She turned around. I'd already fired up the air conditioner with the remote. Why did you turn that on? That's wasting electricity. You're sweating. Cool down for a minute. We're just looking. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Classic mom. Treating someone else's electricity like it was liquid gold. Little did she know, it was her electricity. In her house. That her son bought. With her name nowhere on any document. She sat on the bed, felt the mattress, and I watched the resistance melt from her face. If you two both like it, fine. Let's rent it. Though I can't imagine why someone would rent out such a new place. Qian was radiating guilt and joy in equal measure. I jumped in before she could accidentally confess. Rich people are different, Mom. So, I'll finalize it tomorrow, yes. But don't negotiate the price down. The place is too nice. Me, a man who just bought this apartment for 32 yuan. Sure, Mom. No haggling. I told her to quit the old apartment, call my uncle with his three-wheeled cart for moving help, and not fight with the old landlord about the deposit. She agreed to everything. Then I suggested we move tomorrow. Tomorrow? Shouldn't we pick a lucky day, Mom? It's 2007. We're not consulting an astrologer to move into a rental, she laughed. Qian literally threw herself onto the mattress. This bed is amazing. I want to live here right now. Get up before you break it. I can't afford to pay the landlord for damages. Qian grinned from the bed. My brother has plenty of money. Mom's eyes narrowed. Does money fall from the sky for your brother? Actually, Mom. Yes. Yes, it does. It fell from approximately 18 years in the future, directly into my jeans pocket. But let's not get into that. We walked out of the apartment 15 minutes later, all smiles. And then, the door across the hall opened. Lilan stepped out, crying. Red eyes, tears on her cheeks, the whole devastating picture. My brain crashed. Blue screen of death. What are the odds? I randomly buy a house, and it's directly across the hall from my desk mate's father's apartment? Lilan saw me and panicked. Didn't say a word. Just bolted down the stairs like the building was on fire. Then two people emerged from the apartment behind her. A man, 40-ish, beer belly, expensive clothes, radiating, successful businessman, energy. And a woman, pretty, wavy hair, but clearly only in her mid-20s. Way too young to be Lilan's mother. Because she wasn't Lilan's mother. The man yelled down the stairwell. Lan, why'd you run? Your Aunt Zhu bought you clothes. You forgot the bag. She's not my aunt. I don't want them. Angry teenage footsteps echoed down the stairs. The man, Li Jun, Lilan's father, looked embarrassed. The young woman, Zhu Min, tugged his arm gently. It's okay. She'll come around eventually. Then Li Jun noticed us standing there like three deer in headlights. Are you new tenants? Mom went into full nervous mode. No. We're just renting, just looking. Li Jun sized up Mom in one glance and clearly concluded we were. Nobody important. He nodded politely and was about to retreat when Qian, my wonderfully tactless sister, blurted out. Go. Wasn't that girl your desk mate? Li Jun's head whipped around. Your Lanlan's classmate? Yes. His expression shifted. Suspicious. Calculating. What were the chances of his daughter's classmate moving in next door right after witnessing this family drama? I read his mind and defused it immediately. We had no idea Lilan or Teacher Gua lived across the hall. If we had, we definitely wouldn't have rented here. I mentioned Guo on purpose, to signal that I assumed his wife lived here, not his girlfriend. It worked. He relaxed slightly. Guojing and Lan don't live here. Today was just a dinner visit. Coincidence. Sure, buddy. A dinner visit. With your new girlfriend while your daughter cries and runs away. Very wholesome. Zhu Min put on her warmest smile. I'm Lilan's stepmother. If she ever has trouble at school, please let me know. We're neighbors now. The audacity. Calling yourself stepmother when the actual mother is still alive and teaching at the same school. My internal monologue was screaming, but my face stayed perfectly neutral. Lilan's grades are excellent, and Teacher Gua takes good care of her. I'm sure she'll be fine. Li Jun sighed and said something actually sincere. I know my relationship with her mother is complicated, but I'm her father. I genuinely want her to be okay. If anything happens at school, please tell me. That felt real. The girlfriend's concern was fake. The dad's concern was real. I could tell the difference. I'd spent a lifetime reading people across negotiation tables. I'll keep an eye out. Going downstairs, Qian couldn't contain herself. What's going on with your classmate's family? It sounds so messy. I finally understood why Lilan never mentioned her father, why she lived with Teacher Gua, why she had that wall of ice around her. Her dad had cheated. Her family had shattered. And she, proud, beautiful, top-of-the-class Lilan, was carrying that shame in silence. You're too young for this. Don't pry. Qian scoffed. I'm not stupid. He's obviously got a mistress. You men are all pigs. Wait. All men. Including me? What did I do? I let it go. Arguing with a 16-year-old about gender politics was a battle even a billionaire time traveler couldn't win. Back in class, Lilan was sitting at our shared desk looking like she wanted to say something to me. But because I sat down without greeting her, same as always, her pride kicked in and she buried her face in a book instead. Her internal monologue was probably something like, if he doesn't talk to me first, I will literally die before speaking to him. Cool. I made tea and started doing practice problems. Blissful silence. Then Fenggan leaned forward with gossip. Did you hear about that girl who jumped? The one who was attacked walking home? Yeah. No, bro. It's worse. It wasn't just assault. It was a gang assault. And her boyfriend set the whole thing up. My brain froze. What? Huan confirmed it. She had a relative in the police department. The boyfriend was already arrested. I couldn't wrap my head around it. What kind of psychopath does that to his own girlfriend? Huan snapped. Watch your language, you pig. What did I even say? These are normal words. Fenggan stirred the pot. Yeah. What does special fetish mean? Explain it to me. You of all people don't know? You're the one with a phone under your blanket every night after lights out, studying on the browser at 2 a.m. Don't play innocent. Huan turned scarlet. You're both disgusting. Absolute degenerates. I shrugged. We're normal men. Any guy who claims he's a pure-hearted monk is either lying or needs a doctor. All men are sick. In the middle of this chaos, a voice cut through like a blade. Huan. Everyone shut up. Lilan was standing, face tense, eyes locked on me. Come outside. I need to talk to you. Fenggan and Huan exchanged looks of pure shock. The Ice Queen was voluntarily speaking to the class deadbeat? Had the earth shifted on its axis? I followed her to the hallway. Evening breeze, empty corridor, her hair lifting slightly in the wind. For one dangerous second, my stupid reborn heart did a little flutter. I slapped that feeling down immediately. Nope. No. Absolutely not. This woman is my white moonlight, the unreachable crush who destroyed me. I am not falling for this again. I am a grown man. I have antibodies against this. I leaned against the railing and said casually, this is about your dad, right? She wasn't surprised I'd figured it out. I need you to keep what you saw tonight a secret. Don't tell anyone in class. Parents splitting up is sensitive for anyone. For someone as proud as Lilan, who'd rather chew glass than show vulnerability, it was a nuclear-level secret. Don't worry. I'm not a gossip. Anything else? Because if not, I'm going back in. And there it was again. That cold, efficient, are we done here? Attitude that drove her absolutely insane. She was used to boys stammering and blushing in her presence. I was treating her like a coworker I barely knew. She spun on her heel and marched back inside, radiating fury. I could practically hear her thoughts. You don't want to talk to me? Fine. I don't want to talk to you either. Ever. Fenggan ambushed me the second I sat down. What did the class beauty want? Lilan erupted from her seat. Mind your own business. Fenggan looked like he'd been slapped by a hurricane. Huan laughed. Serves you right. Zero social awareness. Then English teacher Zhao Yu walked in carrying a radio and a stack of test papers. Listening comprehension test. Starting now, the class groaned collectively. English listening was every Chinese student's nightmare. The audio goes by in a blur of foreign sounds, and you just circle random letters and pray. But for me, this was my playground. Years of business negotiations with Americans, Europeans, Australians. My English was boardroom-level fluent. The listening section was like watching a children's cartoon. In slow motion, I breezed through every answer while classmates around me stared at the ceiling hoping for divine intervention. Zhao Yu noticed. She'd been frustrated with me all week. Every other teacher praised my transformation, but in her class, I was reading physics textbooks instead of paying attention. The one teacher I was ignoring. She took it personally, but today she saw me actually working. Curious, she walked over and stood behind me. One glance at my answer sheet, and her eyes nearly fell out. Every single answer correct, and I was working faster than anyone else in the room. She stood there so long I started sweating. I sipped my tea to calm down. She didn't move. I coughed. She didn't move. Finally I whispered, Teacher Zhao, you standing behind me is giving me intense anxiety. She wanted to strangle me. But she went back to the podium. Then a new problem hit me. If I answered everything correctly, I'd score above 130. For a kid ranked dead last, that was like a janitor suddenly performing brain surgery. Way too suspicious. Teachers would investigate. Questions would be asked. Accusations of cheating would fly. I needed to strategically miss some questions. Intentionally tank my own score to a believable level. A billionaire. With perfect English. Deliberately getting questions wrong on a high school test. To maintain his cover as a bad student. My life was officially a spy movie with homework. We got home to find Mom already packing. Plastic bags stuffed with clothes lined the doorway like she was preparing for a refugee evacuation. Started early, Mom. Moving day is tomorrow. You think these things pack themselves? She emerged from the kitchen carrying a giant bowl. I cooked the last half chicken tonight. Didn't want to transport it. Come drink soup. Qian was still wearing her MP3 earphones, the replacement one I'd bought her. Mom snapped. Take that thing off at the dinner table. Qian glanced at me. I gave her the look. She ripped those earbuds out faster than a soldier responding to a drill sergeant. Mom watched in amazement. Somehow my authority now exceeded hers. The power dynamics in this household had shifted dramatically. Then I noticed Mom wasn't eating. She was sitting at the table with a faraway look, fidgeting with her hands. Classic, I need to say something but don't know how, posture. Mom, what's on your mind? Huan, how much do you have in stocks now? About 350,000. You made a few thousand more in just days? I smiled. Mom, just say what you really want to say. Are my uncles trying to borrow money again? She glared at me. I didn't tell them about your stocks. They're not borrowing anything. Then what's up? She looked down. Tomorrow we're moving into that nice new place. And our bedsheets and blankets are all so old and ratty. It wouldn't feel right bringing them into a nice apartment. Qian's eyes lit up. Yes, let's buy new ones. Then Mom quietly admitted it. She was almost out of money. Guilt punched me in the stomach. Here I was, sitting on 100 million yuan, and my mother couldn't afford bed sheets. I jumped up immediately. I'll go get cash. Be right back. It's late. Can it wait until? Slam. I was already out the door. The chicken soup was still steaming on the table. While I was gone, Qian asked Mom how broke she actually was. The answer, 7,800 yuan total. Between buying our computer, daily expenses, and feeding 3 people, that's all she had left in the world. 7,800 yuan. Couldn't even buy one of the beds I'd put in the new house. Qian felt a wave of shame. She'd been riding around with me all week spending tens of thousands like we were royalty, while Mom was quietly counting coins at home. So she did something that made my heart both swell and break. She pulled out her tiny little wallet and dumped all her savings on the table. Mom, take all my money, 1,800 yuan. Every red bill I'd slipped her over the past week, saved up with barely any spent. Mom's eyes went wide, then narrowed. Where did you get all this? Huan gives me 100 here and there. I barely spent any. It's all here. Mom took the cash. All of it. Left Qian with 70 yuan in coins. My sister went from mini-millionaire to pocket change peasant in 30 seconds. She stared at her empty wallet with immediate regret. Why did she open her big, generous mouth? I was literally at the ATM right now. Mom was about to have plenty of cash, and Qian had just voluntarily donated her entire fortune. From little rich girl back to broke. Speedrun. Then Mom's detective brain activated. Wait a minute. Your brother says all his money is in stocks. So where's the cash for rent coming from? And your pocket money? That adds up to way more than pocket change. Qian swallowed hard. I don't know. Mom slammed the table. You two have been scheming together for days. You think I'm blind? Tell me now, or I'll get the truth from your brother, and then you're both in trouble. Qian crumbled. Her survival instincts kicked in. The ancient sibling rule. Better to betray thy brother than to perish thyself. He has more than 300,000. How much more? Over 1 million. Mom's jaw dropped. 1 million? But it's probably only 600,000 or 700,000 now. Where did the rest go? He bought the apartment. The one we're moving into tomorrow. He bought it. Silence. Total silence. Mom sat there processing the fact that her 17-year-old son, who was snoring in class a week ago, had secretly purchased real estate. But then something worse crept across her face. Not anger. Hurt. Why did he tell Qian, but not her? Did he think she couldn't handle it? Did he not trust his own mother? Qian saw the pain and went into damage control mode, soft and gentle. Mom. he wasn't hiding it to be mean. He was worried about your health, that the shock would be too much. Think about it. Just now, you hinted you needed money, and he didn't even finish his soup. Just dropped everything and ran out in the dark to get you cash. He cares about you more than anyone. Mom stared at the table. At the half-finished bowl of chicken soup he'd abandoned mid-bite. At the door he'd rushed through without even putting on proper shoes. And finally, slowly, she smiled. Meanwhile, I was standing at an ATM in the dark, punching in my PIN, completely unaware that my carefully constructed empire of lies had just been demolished by a 16-year-old girl who'd folded under approximately 11 seconds of interrogation pressure. My sister, ladies and gentlemen. The girl I trusted with a 32-1 secret. Held out for less time than it takes to microwave popcorn. I was walking home with a stack of cash, mentally rehearsing how to keep the cover story going, not knowing that the cover story was already a smoking crater and Mom was sitting at home deciding exactly how hard to yell at me. Some things even a time-traveling billionaire can't control. And the number one thing on that list? Little sisters with zero resistance to maternal interrogation tactics. While I was gone, the interrogation happened. I just didn't know it yet. Apparently, the moment I walked out that door, Mom turned to Qian with the precision of a CIA interrogator. First came the discovery that Qian had nearly 2,000 yuan in pocket money. Every red bill I'd secretly slipped her, barely touched. Mom confiscated all of it, left her with 70 yuan in coins. My sister went from little heiress to homeless-level broke in under a minute. Then Mom's brain connected the dots. If all the money is in stocks, where's the rent coming from? And the pocket money? And the... Qian tried to hold the line. I don't know. Mom slammed the table. You two have been conspiring. Tell me now, my sweet, loyal sister. The girl I trusted with a 32-1 secret. The girl I was buying an MP3 player and beef lunches in a house for. Lasted approximately 11 seconds before she sold me out completely. He has over $1 million. The apartment is his. He bought all the furniture. The rental is a lie. Everything. She gave up everything. Witness protection programs have had better success rates. But the worst part for Mom wasn't the money or the house. It was being left out. Why did he tell his sister, but not his mother? Was she not trustworthy? Not important enough? Qian, to her credit, tried to fix it. He was protecting your heart, Mom. The second you hinted you needed money, he didn't even finish his soup. Just bolted into the night to get you cash. Mom looked at the abandoned chicken soup. And apparently, she softened. A little. I walked through the door carrying 20,000 yuan in cash, feeling like a hero, and immediately sensed something was deeply, catastrophically wrong. Mom and Qian were sitting at the table in silence. Qian was staring at the floor. Mom glanced at me with a look that could freeze lava, then looked away. I put the money on the table. Here, Mom. Got the cash. She scooped it up without a word and walked to her room. Door closed. I stood there holding an empty chicken soup bowl and a sense of impending doom. I turned to Qian. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I'm gonna go shower. N.O. Mom's voice came from behind her door like thunder from a cloud. Your brother's soup is cold. Go heat it up. Qian scurried to the kitchen like a scared mouse. I followed her. What happened? Her eyes filled with tears. Go. Mom is confiscating my property deed. You told her? She nodded miserably. She threatened me. I had no choice. What else did you tell her? Everything. Everything. The 1,000,000 yuan, the house purchase, the furniture spending spree, the rental lie. My entire carefully constructed web of deception, demolished by a teenage girl who couldn't survive 10 minutes of maternal interrogation. I laughed. What else could I do? This is what you deserve for having zero backbone. She sniffled pitifully. She also took all my pocket money. How much did she leave you? 70 yuan. From property owner to pocket change peasant in one evening. A tragedy for the ages. I felt bad. Secretly slipped her 500 yuan when Mom's door was closed. Her little dimples appeared instantly. Thanks, gee. Emotional recovery time. For seconds. When you graduate high school, I'll buy you another house. But next time, keep your mouth shut. She nodded vigorously. Lesson learned. Probably. Maybe. I wasn't betting on it. Next morning, Mom was already packing when I woke up. I tried to make conversation. She, Ed without looking up. Still mad. Qian came out, saw Mom's face, and went mute. We brushed our teeth in terrified silence like two prisoners at morning roll call. Then, just as we were leaving, Mom's voice stopped us. Should we set off firecrackers when we move in? A peace offering. Disguised as a question about moving traditions. She wanted to celebrate. This was still a big deal, our first real home. She just needed me to say yes. Whatever you want, Mom. This is your house. You're in charge. Wrong answer. Oh, I'm in charge? Because last I checked, someone bought a 32 Yuan house without even mentioning it to me. Didn't need my opinion for that, did you? But sure, now I'm in charge. The sarcasm was so thick you could spread it on toast. I surrendered completely. Mom, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'll hand over all the remaining money to you. Every yuan. You decide how it's spent from now on. All of it? Including the stocks. Everything. 350,000 in stocks plus everything else. She was touched. Over 1,000,000 yuan, handed over without hesitation. What she didn't know was that even after giving her everything, I still had 99 million tucked away in a second brokerage account. The million was literally a rounding error. She sighed. Keep it. I wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. I'd just stick it in a savings account earning dust. You're better at making it grow. Then let me give you 8,000 a month for the household. 8,000? We don't spend that much, Chin chimed in. Save the extra. Mom, you could even quit your job. Mom's death glare could have melted steel. Quit. Just because we have a little money, we forget what struggle feels like. At the door, I remembered one last critical thing. Mom, tell everyone the new place is a rental. If you say we bought it, people will ask where the money came from, and explaining the stock market to the entire neighborhood is a nightmare I'd rather avoid, she agreed. But I could see it stung, owning a home for the first time in her life and having to pretend it wasn't hers, like winning the lottery and being told to keep quiet about it. Still, as we walked to school, I could tell the anger was fading. She was already planning firecrackers and thinking about which curtains would look nice. Mom was resilient like that. She could be furious at you one minute and worrying about whether you'd eaten enough the next. Qian walked beside me, 500 yuan richer, a property deed poorer, and still somehow grinning. Go, when you buy me the next house. I'm hiding the deed inside a wall. Or, I suggested, you could just not confess everything the second Mom raises her voice. She thought about it. No, the wall thing sounds safer. Fair enough. Qian was so excited about moving day that the second the lunch bell rang, she launched out of her classroom like a human cannonball. Her friend Yao Xin was yelling, "Wait for me." Cafeteria, but Qian was already a blur disappearing down the stairwell. Busy today? Got a GO. Meanwhile, some nosy girl in Qian's class was whispering, "Don't you think it's weird? At the start of school, Qian couldn't even afford spicy snacks. Now she eats on the second floor every day and has a BBK MP3 player. Where's the money coming from?" Yao Xin shut that down quick. That's their private business. Good girl. Loyal friend. Though even SHE was probably wondering. I met Qian outside school, and we speedwalked home. She was giddy. I was nervous. Something in my gut said today wasn't going to be smooth. Then I saw the police car, parked right in front of our building. My stomach dropped through the floor. I broke into a full sprint. Qian thought I was just excited. Gee, slow down. Wait for me. At the building entrance, my third aunt and her husband were getting off a motorcycle. Your uncle told us the landlord was bullying your mom. We came right away. I grabbed a fist-sized rock off the ground and charged up the stairs. Behind me, Qian, my sweet, studious, 15-year-old sister, picked up a glass bottle and followed. We were going to war. Third aunt screamed behind us. Put those down. Your mom is fine. The police are already up there mediating. There are plenty of adults handling this. You two don't need to fight anyone. I stopped. My brain caught up to my adrenaline. Right. Police car means authorities are present. Things are under control. I dropped the rock. Qian lowered her bottle. We both stood there panting on the staircase like two tiny vigilantes who'd been called off duty. Third aunt caught up and scolded us gently. The entire He family is up there. Your grandpa, your uncle, your third uncle, your cousins, everyone. If there's fighting to be done, the adults handle it. Not two kids with rocks. We walked up to find our tiny apartment absolutely packed with He family members. It looked like a clan meeting. In the middle, two cops, Mom, and a chubby landlord looking increasingly uncomfortable. Then a voice cut through the crowd. Huan. Qian, you're here, Grandma. White-haired, tiny, but with a presence that filled the room. She'd ridden over an uncle's three-wheeled cart. This 80-something woman had mobilized for battle. Mom spotted me and turned slightly pink. Last night I'd specifically told her, don't fight with the landlord. And what did she do? Called the entire He clan and the police. Because the landlord refused to refund a single yuan of rent, and my mother, sweet, penny-pinching, let's not waste money, Lu Mei, discovered she had a spine made of steel when someone tried to cheat her. The cops wrapped things up, both sides compromise. Mr. Yi refunds 1,000 yuan. Case closed. The landlord agreed because he was staring at a living room full of angry He family men who looked ready to disassemble him. Mom wanted to squeeze out another 200 or 300, but the moment she saw me, guilt washed over her face. She'd gone against my instructions. She accepted the deal. The landlord handed over the cash in front of the cops, then grumbled, when are you moving out? Mom went full sass mode. One hand on hip, volume at maximum. You couldn't pay me to stay in this dump. We're leaving right now. And with that, the He family machine kicked into gear. Everything was already packed from last night. Uncle had his 3-wheeled cart. A cousin brought a van. 8 adults hauling boxes, bags, and furniture down the stairs in a perfectly coordinated operation. Military precision powered by family loyalty. Some relatives started heading out on motorcycles. I stopped them. It's lunchtime. Everyone please come eat with us. My treat. They all declined. We're busy, don't worry about it. But then Mom came downstairs and played the gratitude card. The He family showed up for me today. The least my family can do is buy you lunch. Nobody leaves hungry. Uncle Zhangwo, the family patriarch after Grandpa, had been waiting for Mom to say exactly this. He backed her up. You came to help. We're not letting you leave on empty stomachs. Sit down and eat. They finally agreed. Chinese family politics. You refuse twice, except the third time. It's basically law. The whole caravan rolled up to our new apartment complex. Xian opened the door proudly, and the entire He family walked into a brand new, beautifully furnished apartment with modern decor, air conditioning, and actual hot water. Jaws. Hit. Floor. Third aunt couldn't believe it. This is a rental? How much is this costing you? Mom, remembering my instructions, said coolly, 5,000 a year. It's close to the school. Grandpa frowned. 5,000 for rent. In his world, that was obscene. Then he heard some relatives muttering about the extravagance, and the old man's protective instincts fired. Everyone quiet. It's a rental. So what? It's close to school. The kids can study in peace. If Huan and Xian get into good universities, it'll be worth 10 times that amount. Silence. Instant, total silence. Nobody argues with Grandpa. Nobody ever argues with Grandpa. My eyes got hot. This was the He family. Moms-in-laws. After Dad died, a lot of families would have cast out the widow. Instead, the He clan treated Mom like royalty. All these years, nobody raised their voice at her. Nobody disrespected her. And the second she called for help, 7 or 8 grown men showed up ready to throw punches for her. Because she'd stayed. When Dad died, she didn't remarry, didn't run, didn't abandon us. She chose the hardest path. Single mother, 2 kids, no money, endless suffering. And the He family honored that sacrifice with absolute loyalty. Today proved it. One phone call, and Grandpa rode a 3-wheeled cart across town. Uncles dropped their jobs. Cousins grabbed car keys. Even third aunt and her husband jumped on a motorcycle. All because someone made Mom cry. And Grandpa, who privately probably agreed the rent was ridiculous, shut down his own family the second they questioned Mom's decision. That wasn't about rent. That was about respect. I stood in my secretly owned apartment, surrounded by relatives who thought it was a rental, watching my mother pretend she hadn't just violated my explicit instructions, and felt something I hadn't felt. In either of my lives, this family, chaotic, loud, overprotective, rock-throwing, motorcycle riding, 3-wheeled car driving, was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Third aunt tried to smooth things over after Grandpa's outburst. Dad, nobody's criticizing Lu Mei. We've just never seen such a nice apartment. That's all. Mom defused it with a smile and herded everyone out for lunch. There were several restaurants near the complex. I eyeballed the decent-looking one called Fat Sister's Kitchen, but Grandpa vetoed it immediately. Why waste money on a fancy place? You just spend a fortune on rent. Every yuan counts, and he marched straight into the greasiest hole in the wall on the street. Everyone followed like ducklings. You do not argue with Grandpa about restaurant selection, or anything. I pulled Shin aside. Order some real dishes. Meat. The good stuff. I'm running out to buy something. Buy what? Cigarettes. She looked at me like I'd said I was buying a horse. I don't smoke. Never have. But this wasn't about smoking. This was about respect. In Chinese family culture, giving cigarettes to the men who showed up for you is one of the most basic gestures of gratitude. And I wasn't buying the cheap stuff. 15 people, 2 tables crammed into this tiny restaurant. Qian whispered to Mom. Gus said order more meat dishes. The surrounding relatives heard and chuckled. The kid just wants fancy food. Mom, remembering this was technically a housewarming celebration, went ahead and ordered beer duck, braised pig's feet, and a pile of other dishes until people were literally shouting, "Enough!" Then I walked in carrying an enormous black plastic bag. Everyone stared. I reached in and pulled out cartons of yellow Crane Tower cigarettes. 20 yuan a pack. 200 per carton. 10 cartons. I started handing them out. 1 carton per uncle, per cousin, per every man who dropped everything today to come defend my mom. The nearest uncle pushed his back immediately. What are you doing? We didn't even help. The cops handled everything. And your mom's already feeding us. Everyone did the math in their heads simultaneously. The landlord refunded 1,000 yuan. My cigarette gift cost 2,000. Plus the lunch bill. We were actually losing money on this whole moving day debacle. Uncle Jangwo, take these back to the store right now. Grandpa, Lu Mei, tell your son to return those cigarettes. You worked too hard for him to throw money around. Every single person was telling Mom to rein me in. Mom looked at me with a, "This is your mess," glare, but I was deliberately not making eye contact. I waited for the noise to die down, then spoke. Grandpa, Uncle, everyone, what you did today meant the world to me. My mom is strong, but she's one woman. If things had gotten physical, she would have been helpless. Protecting her is my job as her son, but when I'm not there, I have to count on the He family. These cigarettes are 2 things, a thank you for today and a request. A request that whenever Mom needs help in the future, you'll come again. Dead silence. Everyone stared at me. The kid who used to be a mute, internet-addicted nobody had just delivered a speech that could have come from a 35-year-old businessman. Which, technically, it did. Grandpa's expression shifted from stern to proud. Huan, your heart is in the right place. Your mother has suffered greatly raising you 2 alone. We all see that. Don't worry, whenever she needs us, we'll be there. But take the cigarettes back. Your mother's salary isn't much. Grandpa, this is MY money, not Mom's. His eyes narrowed. You're a student. What money? I've been trading stocks. Mom knows about it. Every head swiveled toward Mom. She nodded reluctantly. He did make some money in the stock market. That's how we can afford the nice rental. The restaurant exploded. You trade stocks? Since when? How much did you make? I waited for them to calm down, then said, I've been trading about 6 months. Made around 150,000. Silence. Complete silence. Even the other diners at nearby tables turned to stare. A high school kid. 6 months. 150,000 yuan. In a county where most adults earned 2,000 a month, that number was basically extraterrestrial. Then third uncle-in-law Luo's son, the sharpest mind in the room, asked the question everyone else missed. Where did you get the starting capital? I deployed the trusty cover story, won the lottery. 200,000. Invested it. So you have over 300,000 now? Yep. The envy in the room was thick enough to cut with a chopstick. 300,000 yuan in 2007. In a 5th-tier county where people counted coins for grocery money? I might as well have said I owned a gold mine. Every uncle was looking at me differently now. The rock-grabbing kid from the staircase, the internet cafe zombie, the dead last student. Suddenly, I was the family prodigy. The golden nephew. The one who might actually pull this family up a notch. And the cigarettes? Nobody tried to return them after that. Funny how 150,000 yuan confession makes 2,000 yuan in cigarettes feel perfectly reasonable. Mom sat there watching her son command a room full of grown men, and I caught the tiniest, most reluctant smile tugging at her lips. She was still mad about the secret house, still annoyed about the cigarettes, still irritated that I'd ignored her death glare, but also proud. Quietly, stubbornly, impossibly proud. Third uncle-in-law Luo Sen's eyes were practically on fire. Huan, teach me stocks. I've got a few 10,000s just sitting around doing nothing. Every single uncle at the table suddenly developed an intense interest in financial markets. eyes locked on me like I was a stock market prophet descended from heaven. I gave them the responsible disclaimer. Investing is risky. Entering the market requires caution, standard stuff. Nobody heard a word of it. Luo-san, easy. I'll just buy whatever you buy. That's tricky. Timing matters. A few minutes of delay and the results are completely different. His face fell. Then I offered the real solution. How about this? Give me the money. I'll manage it. And at year's end, I return your principal plus profits. His extinguished flame roared back to life. Even better. Third Ant got nervous immediately. Huan, that's our entire savings. What if you lose it? Fair question. I was honest. There's always a possibility. But our money goes into the same stocks. If I lose, we all lose together. They wavered. Then Uncle Jangwo, the family rock, stood up. What business is guaranteed? I'm in. 30,000. If you lose it, I won't blame you. That broke the dam. 3 more cousins jumped in on the spot. 2 others said they'd check with their wives first. The universal code for, I wanna but I'm scared of my spouse. Then Grandpa said quietly, put me down for 10,000. Grandma immediately tugged his shirt from behind. He pretended not to notice. Why are you pulling my clothes, woman? That's our retirement money. At your age, you want to play the stock market? Grandpa raised his voice several notches. Who said anything about getting rich? My grandson is doing something impressive. I'm supporting him. If he makes money, it's his. If he loses it, it's on me. My throat tightened. This old man was willing to risk his retirement savings just to show faith in me. Not for profit, for pride. For family. Don't worry, Grandpa. I would never lose your retirement fund. And when I make money at year's end, I'm building you and Grandma a brand new house back in the village. He laughed. The big, warm belly laugh of a man who just heard the best joke of the year. This kid sure knows how to make an old man happy. I meant every word. Come spring, the old village house was getting demolished and rebuilt. I just planted the seed early, disguised as a joke, so nobody would have a heart attack when it actually happened. Third Aunt finally made up her mind. She slapped the table and declared, you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. We're in. 50,000. Third uncle-in-law, who'd been waiting for exactly this green light, nodded enthusiastically. I turned to the cigarettes still sitting on the table. Please accept these. They're from my heart. And at the end of the year, I'll have profits to distribute too. One cousin finally broke the politeness standoff, grabbed his carton, and grinned. All right, since our nephew is a big shot now, I'll take it. 20 yuan yellow crane towers. I can't even afford to buy these normally. Never thought my nephew would hand me a whole carton. I laughed. Enjoy them. Someday when I bring you this same brand, you'll poke me in the chest and call me cheap. The whole table erupted in laughter. With one cousin leading, everyone else accepted their cartons. The ice was broken. Over lunch, the uncles grilled me about everything. The lottery, the stocks, how it all worked. For the lottery story, I just laid on the incredible luck angle nice and thick. Nobody questions miracles. For stocks, I had decades of CEO experience to draw from. I explained market trends, timing, risk management, stuff that made their eyes glaze over with admiration. They had no idea they were getting a lecture from a man who'd run a publicly traded company in another timeline. Qian watched me hold court at that table, fielding questions, making the adults laugh, earning their respect, and I caught her staring at me with literal stars in her eyes. Her chest was puffed out with pride. Her internet cafe-zombie brother was commanding a room full of grown men like a patriarch. There's a saying in Chinese, the eldest brother is like a father. Dad was gone, but sitting at that greasy restaurant table, buying cigarettes and promising to build Grandpa a house, I'd become the pillar of this family. After lunch, I told Mom to coordinate with the uncles on the investment amounts and collect the money. She agreed. This was her element. Organizing, tracking, keeping accounts. The He family CFO and the He family CEO were officially in business. Walking to school, Chin caught me deep in thought and asked what I was thinking about. She assumed it was stock strategy. Cute. The truth? I was mapping out my entire future. I had nearly 100 million in the stock market during the greatest bull run in Chinese history. But I knew what was coming. The 2008 American subprime crisis would nuke global markets. I needed to pull everything out before that tsunami hit. Then, during the crash, I'd scoop up shares of companies I knew would become giants, for pennies on the dollar. With my knowledge of the future, I could turn 100 million into 5 billion by the time I graduated college. Easy. But then what? Rebuild my internet company from my past life? I had the money and the experience this time, so it'd grow even faster. But the problems that eventually brought it down, the pandemic, trade wars, geopolitical chaos, those were bigger than any one businessman. Could I solve them the second time around? Honestly, no. Or I could just not hold my shares, let them grow, become worth hundreds of billions without lifting a finger. Travel, fish, relax, live. I caught myself fantasizing about fishing trips and foot massages and immediately called myself pathetic. What kind of reborn billionaire doesn't want to build an empire? But then I thought about my past life. Worked until 40 before getting married. Missed everything personal for the sake of business. This time, mom needed grandchildren. That was the real priority. Decision made, semi-retirement mode. Let the money work. Focus on family. Get mom some grandkids before she starts nagging. I felt lighter than I had in days. I grinned at Qian. Making money? Easy. That's what your brother does best. She rolled her eyes. So full of yourself. Not even a little bit humble. Am I wrong, though? Name another high schooler who casually buys houses. She paused. Thought about it. Okay, you're maybe a tiny bit impressive. Just tiny? Don't push it. Very few people in this world earn even a tiny bit of Qian's admiration. I almost stopped walking. In my previous life, I'd accumulated billions, and Qian had never once said anything like that. Not a single word of admiration. But here, with a fraction of the wealth and a whole lot more presence, my little sister was looking at me like I was her hero. My smile stretched, so wide it probably looked stupid. But you know what? I didn't care. 5 billion yuan couldn't buy what that sentence was worth. English teacher Zhao Yu walked into class early, holding a stack of graded tests and MY paper on top, like a warrant for my arrest. Class leaders, distribute the tests. Huan, come outside. Now, her face could have curdled milk. I followed her to the hallway, mentally reviewing my crimes. Was it the score manipulation? The months of ignoring her class? Both. She opened with, "Do you have a personal problem with me?" What? No. Teacher Zhao, what did I? She shoved my test in my face. 102 points. I'd carefully engineered this score. My usual English was around 80, so 102 seemed like believable improvement. Not suspicious at all, right? Wrong. This multiple choice question and the close passage test the same grammar point. You got the close right, but the multiple choice wrong. Explain that. Oh no. And it's not just that one. Every wrong answer on your test has erasure marks. You changed correct answers to incorrect ones. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I am an idiot. A time-traveling billionaire idiot. I had one job. Fake a believable score, and I left editing marks on the paper like a criminal who drops his ID at the crime scene. I tried the dumb act. Teacher Zhao, I normally score 70 or 80. Getting over 100 is already a miracle. You can't possibly think a student like me could score 120. I watched you take this test last night. You were faster and more accurate than anyone in the room. You are not an English amateur. Stop lying to me. Busted. Completely, thoroughly, humiliatingly busted. This woman had X-ray vision. She softened slightly and hit me with the guilt trip. Every other teacher raves about your transformation. Physics, amazing. Math, incredible. History, beautiful. But when they ask about English, I can't say a word. Because you spend MY class reading other subjects' textbooks. Do you know how embarrassing that is for me? I stared at my shoes. She had a point. I'd been treating her class like a free study hall for everything except English. From her perspective, I was publicly declaring her subject worthless. So either your English is terrible and you need my class, or your English is secretly excellent and you don't. Which is it? I stayed silent. Here's the deal. If you score above 130 on every monthly exam, you can do whatever you want in my class. I won't say a word. But if you drop below 130 even once, you sit in my class, take notes, pay attention, and never touch another subject's book again. My eyes lit up. This was actually perfect. I could easily score 130 with my eyes closed. Free period every English class? Yes, please. I dropped the act. Deal. And if I fail, punish me however you want. She stared at me for a long moment, clearly thinking, what is wrong with this kid? Back inside, Huan, who'd scored 108 and was feeling bad about it, pounced immediately. Huan, what did you get? Tell me so I feel better about myself. Fongon jumped in protectively. Hey, it's rude to ask people their scores. Warm, fuzzy moment. This goofy guy actually had my back. But my skin was thicker than a rhino's. 102. Huan scoffed. You? Over 100? If that's true, I'll do a handstand and I laid the test flat on her desk. Red ink. 102. Clear as day? Fongon snatched it and held it an inch from her face. You'll do a handstand and what? Finish the sentence. Go. She turned crimson. That doesn't count. He cheated. Lilan. Ice Queen Lilan actually chuckled and spread her own test next to mine. He didn't copy me. Look, the questions he got right, I got wrong. The ones I got right, he got wrong. Completely different. Huan examined both papers, realized she had zero evidence, and did what any self-respecting person does when caught. I never said anything. You all heard wrong. Fongon was livid. Have some dignity. You just said it. Said what? Then Xiaoyu walked in and class began. She started reviewing the test and immediately called on me. Huan. Question 3. Why did you choose A? My face went dark. Teacher Zhao. I chose B. I know. Why did you choose B instead of A? 1,000 angry alpacas stampeded through my brain. She was asking me to explain my own intentionally wrong answer. How do you defend a mistake you made on purpose? This was revenge. Pure, calculated, teacher-grade revenge. And I had a sinking feeling that every English class from now on was going to be a personally tailored torture chamber. She called on me 12 more times that afternoon. For questions I got right and questions I got wrong. For grammar rules and vocabulary and reading comprehension. 12 times. In 2 hours. I answered them all correctly because my English was flawless, which only made her more suspicious about the score, which meant she'd call on me more next time. It was an infinite loop of suffering. After school, Qian noticed my misery face. What happened? Bad test score. Feeling down. Since when do you care about grades? I'm a senior. Of course I care, she grinned. Please. You're the money guy. I'm the brains. You fund my education, I provide the academic excellence. It's called comparative advantage. Listen here, small child. The future belongs to the internet and artificial intelligence. You can't make real money without education. She blinked. Internet I get. But what's artificial intelligence, right? 2007. The iPhone hadn't even launched yet. AI was still science fiction to most people. And here I was, a man from the future, casually name-dropping technology that wouldn't matter for another decade. Never mind. Just study hard. Trust your brother, she shrugged. To her, I was a stock trading genius who couldn't pass English class. To me, I was a fluent English speaker being publicly humiliated by a teacher who'd figured out I was sandbagging. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. 100 million yuan in the bank, decades of business experience, fluent in 3 languages, and my biggest problem right now was a high school English teacher who wouldn't let me read physics in peace. Reincarnation is overrated. We got home to find the guests gone and Mom single-handedly redecorating. She'd bought 6 sets of bedsheets and covers, 4,000 yuan worth. The woman who once agonized over 38 yuan beef had dropped 4 grand on linens without blinking. I made the mistake of complimenting her. Wow, Mom, so generous. For 1,000, and you didn't even flinch. She turned on me like a cobra. Don't get smart with me. If you hadn't bought those ridiculous 10,000 yuan beds, would I need expensive sheets? And don't think having money means you can waste it. Even a mountain of gold can be spent down to nothing. Lady, I have 100 million yuan. Your mountain metaphor needs to be significantly bigger. She hadn't cooked dinner. Too busy shopping and collecting money. Turns out the uncles had already delivered their investments. She handed me a stack of cash and a handwritten ledger. Total, 240,000 yuan, ranging from 10,000 to 70,000 per family. I asked if she'd written receipts. Receipts? They're family. Family is exactly when you need receipts. Clear rules prevent future arguments. She looked embarrassed. I let it go, took a photo of the ledger, and suggested we go deposit the money and grab food. Mom put on her shoes, then froze. Her head slowly rotated toward Qian like a turret acquiring a target. Qian, the property deed. Why haven't you given it to me yet? Qian dragged herself to her room and returned holding the red booklet like she was surrendering a newborn baby to a kidnapper. Mom snatched it, flipped it open, and saw Qian's name as the registered owner. 16 years old, and you own a house this nice. Your mother is 40 and has nothing. That was aimed at me. Direct hit. I immediately promised, Mom, soon I'll buy you a villa. Property deed with only your name. I don't need a villa. Can't we just change the name on this one to mine? Qian turned to stone, literally petrified. Her house was being stolen in broad daylight by her own mother, and there wasn't a court in China that would take her side. Mom hid the deed in her wardrobe, buried under a mountain of clothes, probably booby-trapped for all I know. That property deed was now more secure than most bank vaults. At the bank, I tried to go alone. Mom insisted on coming. Into the ATM booth, standing right behind me. Mom, why are you following me in here? I want to see how much is actually in your account. You think I'd lie to you? I just want to look. I'm not taking your money. Panic mode. My card had 5.78 million yuan on it. If she saw that number, the lottery and stock story would disintegrate instantly. She was breathing down my neck. Put the card in. Hurry up, no escape. I inserted the card, opened the balance screen, and started talking fast. Mom, actually the lottery ticket was, wow. You really do have over 50 yuan. I whipped my head to the screen. It said 5,780,000. 5,780,000. Not 51. She'd misread it. She saw 578, and her brain, which had never processed a number larger than 5 digits, simply assumed the rest were decimals or something. The extra zeros didn't register. Like trying to show a fish the ocean, too big to comprehend. I grabbed this miracle with both hands. See? Would I ever lie to you? I closed the balance screen so fast my finger nearly broke. If she looked again and counted the zeros properly, I was dead. What were you saying about the lottery? Nothing. Let's deposit this cash. Qian's waiting. Outside, we ran straight into Lilan, leaving the apartment complex. She and I performed our usual routine, simultaneous head turn, mutual pretend the other doesn't exist maneuver. Perfectly synchronized. Olympic-level avoidance. But Mom ruined everything. She grabbed my arm and pointed. Isn't that the girl from across the hall? Thanks, Mom. Real subtle. I had no choice. I nodded at Lilan. Hello, hello, is the most lifeless greeting in any language. It's what you say to a telemarketer you accidentally answered. It communicates exactly one thing. I acknowledge your existence and wish I didn't have to. Lilan matched my energy perfectly. Hello. 2 robots could have had a warmer exchange. But Mom, glorious, oblivious, socially enthusiastic Mom, beamed at Lilan. What a beautiful girl. Have you eaten yet? Lilan said she'd just grab some bread later. Mom was horrified. Bread? That's not food. We're eating at the restaurant right there. Come join us. It's just adding 1 pair of chopsticks. Lilan was about to decline. She'd just had a fight with her dad and stepmother, hadn't eaten, and definitely did not want to sit across from the human ice wall that was me. But then I opened my big, stupid mouth. Mom, she said no. Don't force people. Lilan's eyes flashed. Something shifted in her expression. I could practically see the gears turning. I can refuse on my own terms. But he doesn't get to decide for me. Those are 2 different things. She turned to Mom with the sweetest smile. Thank you, Annie. I'd love to join. Then she looked at me and smiled. The smile of a woman who had just found the most efficient way to annoy me and was savoring every millisecond. Her internal monologue, if I had to guess. You don't want me there? Then I'm definitely coming. Your discomfort is my dinner entertainment. I stared at her. She stared back. Mom happily led the way. Completely unaware, she'd just orchestrated a hostage situation. Lilan fell into step beside Mom, chatting pleasantly, while I walked. Behind them, wondering how a man with 100 million yuan, knowledge of the future, and 2 lifetimes of experience could be so consistently outmaneuvered by teenage girls. First Qian breaks under interrogation in 11 seconds. Now Lilan weaponizes my own words against me in real time. I needed to stop underestimating the women in my life. Every single one of them was smarter than me, and they all knew it. At the restaurant, Qian saw Lilan and nearly choked on air. Her face screamed, "Why is there a random girl at our family dinner?" Mom was in full hostess mode, fussing over Lilan like she was visiting royalty. "What do you like to eat, dear?" Lilan, who'd marched over here with the confidence of a general, was now shrinking into her chair, realizing she'd made a terrible mistake. She was an outsider at a family meal. What was she thinking? Qian had already ordered 4 dishes. Mom added 2 more, spicy chicken wings and beer duck. And here's where my stupid brain betrayed me. I almost said, Lilan doesn't eat spicy food, then caught myself and swallowed the words like hot coals. How do I still remember her food preferences? It's been 18 years. I negotiated billion-dollar deals and forgot the details within a week, but I remember that Lilan can't handle chili peppers. Get it together, Huan. You're pathetic. Mom announced that leftovers would be packed to go. Which, fine, normal, but she said it in front of the guest. Lilan's face twitched slightly. I wanted to crawl under the table. Throughout dinner, Mom and Qian chatted with Lilan while I silently inhaled rice like a machine. Mom kicked me under the table. I looked up, confused. Lilan has such great grades. She's your desk mate. You should ask her for help when you're stuck. The way she said it, with that sparkle in her eye, I suddenly realized what was happening. My mother was matchmaking. She was trying to set me up with Lilan. I was 17. Afterward, I sent Qian and Lilan ahead to school and cornered Mom. Why did you invite her? That was so awkward. Mom set down her chopsticks and went full interrogation mode. What do you think of that girl? She's fine. She's beautiful, smart, great grades. I cut her off. Mom, I'm a high school student. I'm not saying date her now. Just build the relationship. Your grades are bad. You probably won't get into a good college. So why not marry early like your father? I can help raise the grandkids. Marry early? Grandkids? I'm 18. I have 100 million yuan and a second life to live, and my mother is already planning my wedding? Mom, her and me? Absolutely impossible. Drop it. How do you know if you don't try? And then it slipped out. Quiet. Automatic. Like a reflex from another lifetime. Because I'm not good enough for her. The words hung in the air. The exact phrase Lilan would throw at me years from now. Do you think you're good enough for me? But reversed. Coming from my mouth first this time. And somehow, saying it out loud released something I'd been carrying for 18 years. Mom looked surprised. Before, with your grades and our situation, I'd understand feeling that way. But you have 1 million yuan now. Shouldn't you be more confident? It's not about confidence. I have my own plans for school, career, and marriage. I'm going to ace the college entrance exam, get into a great university, and marry someone even better than Lilan. She burst out laughing. You're dreaming. You're busy trading stocks. When do you have time to study? I can't expect you to be good at everything. Actually, you can. Last night's English test? 102 points. She rolled her eyes. Get to school before I smack you. At school, I sat down at my desk, and something unprecedented happened. Lilan spoke to me. Voluntarily. Huan, yeah. If you have questions you can't solve, you can ask me. I blinked. Was I hallucinating? The Ice Queen was offering to help me? After days of mutual silent treatment? I said, oh, and started making tea. Her face went from hopeful pink to furious scarlet in about 2 seconds. She'd gathered every ounce of courage to extend an olive branch, and I'd responded with the enthusiasm of someone being offered a leaflet on the street. I could practically hear her internal scream. He has no right to be this cold. If I ever speak to him again, I'm a dog. She clenched her tiny fists under the desk, radiating enough anger to heat the entire classroom. Then Teacher Guo's voice came from outside. Lilan, come here. The anger evaporated instantly, replaced by anxiety. Lilan walked out to find her mother, our homeroom teacher, waiting with a face carved from stone. What did your father want today? Lilan hesitated. He said, Aunt Zhu is pregnant. The air between mother and daughter turned to ice. Guojing, a woman who maintained iron composure in front of 30 unruly students every day, nearly lost it right there in the hallway. She swallowed her rage and said through gritted teeth, So he told you, hoping you'd tell me, so I'd agree to divorce? Is that it? I don't know. Fine. He wants a divorce? He can have one. But he leaves with nothing. I'll gladly make room for his little girlfriend. Lilan nervously glanced toward the classroom. Nobody was watching. She lowered her voice. Mom, maybe you should just do it. Dad isn't coming back. Dragging this out only hurts you. Guojing knew her daughter was right. She'd planned to wait until after Lilan's college entrance exam. But the man had moved his mistress into an apartment, gotten her pregnant, and was now using their daughter as a messenger. There was no coming back from that. If I divorce him, will it affect your studies? Lilan straightened her spine. Same posture, same pride as her mother. I'll get into a great university no matter what. Whatever you decide, I support you. Two proud women standing in a hallway, holding each other up while the man who should have been their foundation crumbled away. Teacher, Gua, who terrified entire classrooms with a single glance, and Lilan, who'd rather die than show weakness, both quietly breaking inside, both refusing to let it show. I didn't hear this conversation. I was at my desk, drinking tea, completely unaware that the girl I'd been coldly ignoring was carrying a weight that would have crushed most adults. All I knew was that she'd offered to help me study, and I'd said, "Oh, 18 years of experience, 100 million yuan, 2 lifetimes of wisdom," and I still couldn't figure out how to be kind to the one person who might have needed it most.